beginning of art, it's the end of the world. In the beginning of art, it's the end of the world. In the beginning of art, we want the world, we're breaking it down, taking the kingdom and wait for the throne, it's the end of the world. Even the evil, spend holy days away from the heathen. I need a break, I don't need a reason. I need a script, I don't need your grievance. Keep it to yourself, it's better for my health. Leave it on the shelf, ain't hearing nothing else. Tonight and tonight, knowing the price. Pay it off with my life, till it's out with your lights. Do it all for the Christ, and he ain't playing nice. Knew the end from the start. Fix your face like it's art. The sons of a simp, call them Bart. Yeah, you did your best, played your part. But now it's time to cut you to the heart. Flex on the occasion. It's the strangest of the salvation. You see it, believe it, amazing. Them chariots coming invasion. Since the creation, war, mine, Lord, bless the general. Greatest nation, eat them unequivocal. Bombs dropping, buddy, cut this biblical. Start shit, now it's time to finish. Whoa. Say you won't vote, you looking for smoke. So, we give them some more. We want the world, we breaking them down. Taking the kingdom, can't wait for the crown. We want the world, we breaking them down. Taking the kingdom, can't wait for the crown. It's the end of the world. In the beginning of art, it's the end of the world. In the beginning of art, it's the end of the world. In the beginning of art, we want the world, we breaking it down. Taking the kingdom, can't wait for the crown. It's the end of the world.
I can't wait for our kingdom to start and for theirs to be finished. Get rid of all of their idols and lying religions. Look for the crown like an Edris. Hey, this that crown talk. Wisdom of Solomon 5 talk. This that second Edris 6 and 9. We want eyes talk. It's your time to end. And my time again. It's our time to win. Away with the sin. You know what it is. Rejoice with my kin. See that is why we repented. Golden streets, I can see myself in it. The city is bright. The kingdom of light. A wonderful sight past the angels, the inner light. I need 1,000 years of labor. Sit on my throne with my savior. Try to know why press alone. He bring pain like Major. You think the nations is equal to us? TK Kirkland, who raised you? Flex on occasion, my God a racist. That's why we moving with patience. It's been a long time coming. I spent my whole life running. Now that I'm 10 toes down and established my faith on 100. Woe to the nations, my king will race them. You know they gotta be punished. Jeremiah 25. Yeah, you know they gon' fry.
Whoa. Say you won't vote, you looking for smoke. So, we give them some more. We want the world, we breaking it down. Taking the kingdom, can't wait for the crown. We want the world, we breaking it down. Taking the kingdom, can't wait for the crown. It's the end of the world. In the beginning of art, it's the end of the world. In the beginning of art, it's the end of the world. In the beginning of art, we want the world, we breaking it down. Taking the kingdom, can't wait for the crown. It's the end of the world.
Wow. Hey, shalom, shalom. These mics on? It's crazy. Hey, shalom, family. Most High in Christ bless. Most High in Christ bless. All right. This is the Nehemiah squad. What's going on?
That's right.
Come on, talk to me. All right,
That's
all right,
right.
all right. Hey, so let me reintroduce myself again. Every week we got to reintroduce ourselves. Make sure y'all don't forget nothing. All right. I'm Captain Zakai. I'm here with.
I'm Officer Shem.
Officer Judah.
All right, all praises, all praises. Hey, so first thing we want to let everybody know, so now we're broadcasting from IUIC Sacramento's page. All right? IUIC Sacramento's page. Let everybody know if they might be on our Nehemiah Squad page. All right? So let everybody know. Tell them to come on over. All right? Tonight, we're going to discuss what they call intimate partner violence or domestic violence, right? But we're going to look at it from the male side, right? When the man is being abused. It's not talked about a lot, right? So before we get started and introduce our guest, we want to show you this video real quick. Hey, Jarrell, play that.
Somebody, you guys, don't you love when I come around? What do you say? Build you up, then I take you down.
Well, this poor guy right here.
Don't you love when I come around?
Y'all told me he went viral. Hey, yo, pause that. Get that out of here. So y'all, I heard he went viral from getting beat up by his girl.
Dang. Yes.
Right? You can't make it up. All right? So tonight we're going to have a real good discussion. Let me introduce our guest, Dr. Marion Christopher Pugh. Bring my brother on.
All right.
Dr. Pugh, how you doing? Give a round of applause for our brother.
To the Most High, man. I really appreciate the invitation and the opportunity to have a really good, meaningful conversation this evening. I know we spoke briefly a couple of weeks ago.
Yes, sir.
Very honored to be here, man. Real talk.
All praises, man. And so talk to us a little bit about your company, Manhood Mindset, and what you guys do.
Yes, sir. So Manhood Mindset is specifically an educational consultant and professional speaking initiative, right? So we started off as a radio show that allowed young students to call in to get their questions asked about any and everything. It could have been about academic setting, but vast majority of it was for the home setting, right? So a lot of people who grew up in different types of backgrounds, different types of households used to give their questions to see if they were on the right path, right? So
Right.
Manhood Mindset is basically an initiative to give a unique perspective on what people are actually dealing with that is not easily talked about. So we deal a lot with communication issues, conflict management, conflict resolution, and overall self-respect and what it looks like. Manhood Mindset is, like I said before, I'm in the school system, and it was an initiative also started because a lot of people said that there were not enough men in the home and in the school system. So hearing that over and over again for the last 20, 30 years, I said, well, if people are constantly talking about how men are not present, why not start a business that actually prioritize the mindset of manhood inside of the school system and in the home? So that's exactly how it started. Been official since 2018, but I've been doing this work ever since I was at the tender age of 8 years old. I was a therapist. I was practicing therapy and counseling in my own household. So
You said
I
at
would
8
say
years old?
It's been a lot of things that's been going on. So I've had the honor and privilege to do that. So
Okay, you said you started being a therapist at 8 years old?
yeah, man, the work, not the license, but the actual work.
Okay.
A lot of people may not know this. When I was in school, I was a peer mediator. So we had a lot of conflict and gang activity in our school systems, and our counselors and our teachers would get me out of class to actually talk to rival gang members to see how they can cohabitate to make sure the community can be a little bit more safer. So I've been in conflict management since I was 8 years old, even with my own parents.
Wow. All right. That's interesting. Okay, so talk to us a little bit about this because how prevalent is it with the partner violence on from coming from a female to a male?
Right.
How and we know it's not reported all the time. So what do you think is the percentage, like, you know what I'm saying, as opposed to the other way around?
Even I'm going to answer that transparently and honestly.
Okay.
The percentage is always going to be unknown because most men don't even know it's abuse. Right?
Okay.
Most of us have been told that we're responsible for the happiness of everyone outside of us. So when someone is angry or upset, we take on a responsibility and not necessarily our own humanity, right? So when someone is lashing out at a young boy or a man, we chalk it up as, okay, what did I do wrong? Or they're just being them. We don't even look at it as being abused, right? Because most of us have been told, a real man would allow someone to do something to him. You just take it on the chin, walk it off, or, all these different things we've been told,
Right.
which I understand we have to have a certain level of discipline, self-control, emotional, I would say, I would say emotional discipline. I would say I do understand that manhood requires that, but it does not require us to sacrifice our humanity specifically for our assignment called manhood. So when you come down to percentages, I think I would say if I had to guess, over 90% of men have been abused.
Okay.
They just don't look at it that way,
All
right?
right.
So
So
anytime when you've been assaulted, anytime when you've been touched, harassed, or anything like that without your consent, that could be categorized as abuse.
okay. So
Categorized as
so let me say this. So when you say they might not know about it, so in terms of abuse, you're not talking about just physical abuse now. You're saying there's okay. Go into that a little bit.
Got you. So there's a such thing as harassment, emotional abuse, verbal abuse, things of that nature, right? So a lot of times, a lot of our young men have been told there were not going to be anything, right? And so a lot of people just look at that as a daily obstacle. You know, you just don't want to. Some people call it bullying, or you just letting people pick on you. But after a while, you start having to ask yourself, what is the violation? So violence comes from the root word violation.
Right.
Anytime where your humanity is being violated, whether it be verbal or physical, your body is going to absorb those hits. And regardless if you report it or not, your body is reporting it to your soul. So that's the reason why you have a lot of people walking around the planet who are still kind of drawn up. Some people have turned antisocial. Some people are suicidal and depressed. And some people are just overly violent, where they know for a fact they can't take out their, I would say, their violent responses on women, because they know the consequences of men. Anytime when you act out violently, more than likely there will be incarceration or death. So a lot of them don't even go towards women at all, even though they may have been harassed or abused by women the vast majority of their lives. However, that's the reason why we're so aggressive towards each other, because if you've been riled up all your life and somebody's been saying things to you, putting their hands on you, when you get around other people who you may not be totally held responsible for being violent, you're going to take it to the limits. That's the reason why we love violent sports so much, because that's the only place that some of us feel like we're human beings.
Go ahead. You got something?
Nah, I relate to that. Like violent sports, like we do boxing. You know what I'm saying? And some of those things that's like not good, like revenge and anger, and you know what I'm saying. That stuff is good in the ring, and you get to express that. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I'm a whole different person in there than I'm walking around. You know, so I
Exactly.
I relate to that.
Right.
Exactly. One thing about manhood, I was talking to a colleague of mine the other day, and we were talking about the 4 different stages that may not be able to coexist with this humanity, manhood, fatherhood, and husbandhood. Anytime we're in one realm, another realm gets sacrificed some kind of way, right? And so anytime when you're trying to be a father, as soon as you try to be a man, you have to put other people's emotions as a priority, or you may even lose your whole household, let alone your whole career, if you don't put other people's emotions before yours, because you're charged to provide and protect. But a lot of us have unfortunately misunderstood that we are one of the people we have to provide and protect for as well. So we have incorporated a large amount of neglect in manhood and fatherhood and husbandhood, that we really have to interject and reincorporate our humanity in those roles we have on this planet.
So let me ask you, Doc, how serious, right, is this being taken, right? Because even we were talking about it before the show, right? And we start to laugh at it, right? We start to giggle, because we saying to ourselves, wait a minute, why would anybody sit around and allow themselves to be hit by their wife, right? Now, you brought up a good point, right? You don't want to get in trouble with someone and so forth, but to allow yourself to be beaten, there's going to be only 2 reactions, right? You're going to turn around and do something about it, or you're going to run out of the house. What is the mindset, right, of a man that would sit there and allow himself to be beaten? And I know sometimes that's even being said about the women. Why would you stay? Why would you stay? That's more understandable, because we know the man has power over her physically, right? But in a situation with the men, what are we looking at there? What kind of psychology is that?
The funny part about power is because power has different levels and it has different realms, I would say. we may have biological power, like physiological power, like shoulder width, muscle mass, things of that nature.
Right.
But one of the things I had to just start being totally honest about is that as soon as we walk out of our room, not out the house, but as soon as we walk out of our rooms, we may have another power dynamic shift where you have to start asking yourself about the law. And I always ask people this, if you express yourself emotionally, would law enforcement react the same way as a woman responding, acting out emotionally, right? And I always give this scenario. If there's a woman screaming to the top of her lungs in the middle of a mall, what do you think law enforcement is going to do? Are they going to try to make sure she's okay?
Oh, they're going to get the immediate.
I would say possibly yes, right? If a woman screaming at the top of her lungs, ma'am, are you okay? Are you safe? If a man is screaming to the top of his lungs in the middle of a mall, what type of response do you think he will have?
He might.
And I always ask, say that again.
He might get that straight jacket work.
Right.
Couple of bullets go along with
it.
Even if he gets to the jacket part, so they probably would have probably just drawn down on him up front.
Right.
Because he would, a man having emotional response is looked at as a threat before he's looked at as a human being, right?
Absolutely.
So what people like to do, they like to neutralize threats and help human beings, right? So it's hard to be a man and a human being. Sometimes when you just walk into a room and someone's intimidated by you, now your presence is responsible for their insecurity. And that's what a lot of men don't know how to navigate, and they shouldn't have to navigate it at all. Please, I want the audience to understand, I'm not saying that we should be doing that, but we do need to be aware that this world is kind of flipped, that the law is specifically aimed at a specific group of men,
right,
to dehumanize.
So, okay, so now here's the question, right? Because a lot of time, again, when you go back to the violence from a male on a female, okay, the young man is angry, his father wasn't in the house, so on and so forth. But what are we looking at the other way, right? When a young woman, what's on her mind to where she's saying to herself, I can beat this man. I'm going to beat this man. I'm going to take his manhood, emasculate him, whatever is on, you know what I mean? What is driving that?
Right. So I always find out that consequences influence behavior.
Okay.
So if I grew up knowing that I had a brother in the household that I watched him get beat by everyone, a parent and siblings, and anytime when he acted out violently, he would get beat to sleep or he would have the police called on him or threatened, right?
Right.
Subconsciously, I would start downloading that as, oh, wow, he really has no power. I can do anything I want to him and anybody that looks like him, right? I'll give you an example of something we talked about earlier a couple of weeks ago, is that I do a lot of work in the school systems where now young ladies are allowed to physically assault young boys, and it's not even looked at as assault. It's looked at as entertainment, right? So when a girl is actually beating on little boys, people laugh, even principals, assistant principals, things of that nature, they'll just ask her to stop. Well, if he's been beat up like that for the last couple of years, one day he's going to be fed up and stand up for himself. And if he stands up for himself a little bit too well, he's going to go to jail or even worse.
So
right?
wait a minute. You say, wait, Doc, hold on a second. This is crazy. So you're saying in the school system itself, when a young girl is hitting a young boy, that they will not stop it, or she won't get in trouble, suspended, or anything?
No. She will get reprimanded to tell to stop, and she will even be escorted to the nurse's office to make sure she's okay. They will ask her, what did he do to you, right? And I've seen young girls assault young boys in front of teachers, and she will be told to have a seat, stop playing, because right now, this is what a lot of people don't know, is there's a lot of men who have been assaulted their entire lives. When they become grown adults, they have a short fuse, a lot of them. Now, I don't condone any type of violence, but I am a person that studies cause and effect. Right. If you abuse and assault people for a certain amount of time, and after a while they get large enough to defend themselves, they're going to do it very, very well. And unfortunately, some of them take it farther than the law allows and what society deems as appropriate. But the fact of the matter is, like you were asking me before, what percentage? It has to be over 90, because we don't even look at it as assault. It's looked at as entertainment. Look at the shows that we see in movies and reality shows where men can get drinks thrown in their face and people are consoling the woman, right? So at the end of the day, he was like, well, I'm a man, I must have to take it, right? After a while, your psyche starts to break down to the point where if someone else does this, that's it, right? So unfortunately, when they see another dude talking, I don't know if anybody's ever been through this before. I remember in college, I had a friend of mine. He had a tumultuous childhood, and before we used to go out, he would say, "Man, I wish somebody would try us tonight."
Yeah. Oh yeah. That was. It's funny you say that because I was just telling my daughter this, that when we would go out when we were young, we dressed and everything. We can't wait to chill and meet some women. But at the end, we was like, yeah, we can't wait to get in. If anybody try anything, we on tonight. We couldn't wait to fight.
Right.
Yeah.
It was like shaking. I would call it shaking up Coke bottles at a white party. It was. They would just people would. It was just disaster waiting to happen, man.
Right.
And I remember never ever going to club nights the night before graduation. Man. Because that was the night to settle the score. That was the night to get all your frustration out. People weren't graduating, the people were failing classes. That night, it was just fight night. And I used to sit back and look at it. I used to study it when I was an undergrad, man. And I was like, there's a lot of pent-up frustration that ends up in people being put on T-shirts, people going to funerals and saying he didn't deserve it, right? Wrong place, wrong time type thing. So like I said before, man, I can't keep trying to coddle and put people's emotions over reality and evidence. There are people getting assaulted by people, and people are made up of men and women. When we start talking about domestic violence, the face of domestic violence is a man, preferably a man with dark skin. That's when we start Googling domestic violence, you see a man, probably full bearded, look like me, with a wife beater on. Actually, the T-shirt was renamed,
looking like Black Snake Moan.
Yes, and think about it. It is to the point. You don't have husband beaters; you have wife beaters. Look at the terminology.
Right. No, that's
it's geared toward one spot, and like I said before, it's a real thing. I grew up in the house with it. I saw it in other households. I've seen relationships where you have to look at the dude and be like, "Hey, man, what are you putting your hands on that young lady for?" I got daughters, man. I got sisters. I got nieces. Like, we don't condone violence at all, but this is the issue. We don't condone violence at all. So when you stand up and say, "Hey, young lady, you can't put your hands on him like that," the world starts turning to you like you tripping.
Right.
And a lot of people don't understand, man, when you allow someone to be assaulted, you are standing for domestic violence, especially when you let a young man get assaulted and no one says anything. Only thing you're doing is delaying the violence later on, and he may take it out on his own household, trying to take his deal with his childhood and his adulthood. And that's one of the main elements of domestic violence, people fighting their childhood while they're in an adult body.
Damn. Yeah, that's heavy. And so as we look at it, right, when you look in the scriptures, right, hey, let me get Titus 2 real quick, because a lot of times in a marriage, the woman has to actually be taught how to deal with her husband, right?
Right.
And the Bible actually talks about that because it's something that has to be done. If you don't teach them, then this may occur, right? The lack of respect, the lack of understanding, all right? Give me Titus 2 and let's start in verse 3. Give me 3 and 4.
The book of Titus, chapter 2 and verse 3.
Titus, chapter 2 and verse 3. The aged woman likewise, that they be in behavior as becometh holiness, not false accusers, not given to much wine, teachers of good things.
Come on.
That they may teach the young women to be sober.
Right, so they got to teach the young women to be sober. Come on.
To love their husbands.
Stop right there. To love their husbands. This is something that has to be done. The older women have to tell the younger ones, right? Like you talking about the young daughters in the house, right? So like you said, the boys are getting beat, right? They're getting spanked by the parents. Then the daughters are beating up the sons, right? And you jump right away, hey, don't hit your sister, right? We all did the same thing. You know what I'm saying? Everybody who got kids, you tell that to your son. Don't touch it. Hey, leave her alone, But it was funny because I used to let them do their little thing, but then my son got around 11 years old and that ended. You know what I'm saying? He got started getting a little bit of strength, start throwing a couple of the sisters into the walls. They were like, all right, playtime's over. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. But, hey, just finish that off real quick.
Yes, to love their children.
All right, and to love their children, right? So we can stop there, but I just wanted to bring that out. you know, and say that this is something that we're gonna have to start addressing the young girls about, you know.
Got
But
to.
go ahead, Doc.
Got to. Like, and one of the things about love, and I think we talked about this too, is 1 Corinthians chapter 13, when it kind of spells out biblical love. And
Right.
that's the type of love that I actually try to let people read out loud and try to comprehend it, because it lets you know what love is not. And that's where a lot of our men have to at least biblically look and study that, because it lets you know what you should not be putting up with at all.
That's right.
A lot of us believe that if someone is upset with you, they should lash out at you, and that means they love you. And unfortunately, we've equated love with drama.
Mm. No,
Unfortunately,
hey, the sisters want to give you a round of applause right now. Yeah.
That's the
Hey.
first time they did that.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
So, like, say for instance, we've seen where women may be mad at each other because they've been messing with the same guy, right?
Right.
And all of a sudden we see violence, right? And I used to remember people smiling and laughing because they were entertained by drama. And it was like, wow, they must really love him. And I was like, that ain't love. I think that's more about power at that point.
Right.
Because some people want to own you.
Right.
And some people want to have first dibs, or they want to have complete and total access without anyone interfering. And they're willing to fight other people to get it. Like, so I'll give you another example. When we're dating someone and someone is actually looking at them, right? And all of a sudden people start swelling up and saying, what are you looking at? What are you looking at? Yeah. A lot of people don't understand is that there's a difference between love and attention and love and jealousy. And unfortunately, just because someone has an emotional response, we're not specific enough about what that emotional response is. We just say it's an emotional response. Oh, they love me. We've been throwing around that word love so recklessly, and it has gotten us in so much trouble where it has allowed us to date and marry the wrong person.
That's heavy. And when you talk about the jealousy aspect, right? Especially coming from a man, right? Like you said, what are you looking at? Generally, that would be a man saying that, right? Because I know I've said it before. I've said it plenty of times, or a couple times at least, right? And you're doing that out of pride, right? But the Bible does talk about that, right? In Proverbs 6, that jealousy is the rage of a man, and so on and so forth.
Yes.
But a lot of that is pride. And when you come up in these type of environments that we raised up in, that's what we're on. Like, you know, our manhood, like you have manhood mindset, but our manhood is defined by what? The fighting we were doing after the club, all of that type of stuff. Our manhood wasn't, you know, looking at God. We were looking at, hey, listen, they got to know I can fight. They got to know I get the chicks, and I rap good. And my clothes look good. You know what I mean?
Yes. All the earthly things. Remember, we were talking about the Civil War when we had our conversation, was the civil war between the spirit and the flesh. And we have to always ask ourselves, what was manhood before flesh even became involved? Right? What were we given? What were we asked to do? We weren't asked to prove if we were a man. We just said, hey, God said, let us make man. You know, he gave us dominion. He gave us certain things to do on this planet that we didn't have to prove. We had to accept it. And that's the difference. Most of us are trying to prove something we never accepted. And that's what's making us violent unnecessarily. Now, I'm not saying that we should just bow down anytime when someone's trying to threaten us. But when we are violent without anyone threatening us, that's insecurity on steroids. And we think that manhood is insecurity. You know how a lot of people like to say, I think this term, it was just overly used, called toxic masculinity. Y'all ever heard of that term?
Man. Yes. That's crazy.
Now, and this is funny, and I want everybody to understand this. Toxic masculinity is the adult version of girls are sugar spice and everything nice. Okay. Now, so I always tell people this. I say, you got to understand how we were miseducated. Now, I'm an educator. That doesn't, and just because I got a doctor doesn't mean I'm smart to anybody. It's just I'm finding out how dumb I am and was, right? Wow. So most of the times when you start finding out how you've been miseducated, if you believe that girls are sugar spice and everything nice, that means they can do no wrong even when they're doing wrong.
Right.
And unfortunately, And I know we've heard the term simping before. Y'all have heard of that term simping before,
Yeah,
right?
we talk about simping all the time in here. You know what I'm saying? We make
Right.
sure to purge all simpage. All copious amounts
Right.
of simpage must be purged from the body around here.
Well, simping in our culture and in our society and our nation, it is really idol worship.
Damn.
That's
Hey.
what it is.
Hey, that's 100% right there.
And when
you gotta
like,
say
that's
that
why I
again,
had
bro.
this-
You gotta say
Yeah.
that again.
So simping
Simpage
is
is
a
idol worship.
I would say a code word for what it is, biblical idol worship. Anytime when someone is above reproach, like they are God, right? Think about this. Women want men to worship the ground they walk on. Have y'all ever heard that before?
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I was wondering, I said, hey, does anybody else hear this? Like, I'm wondering if we're really saying or we're hearing what we're saying. And I said, look, we're supposed to love and protect and guide them and, you know, and love them like Christ loved the church.
Right.
But when you start worshiping the ground they walk on, that means you're almost going to be walked over by them. And
Okay,
it's hard to
almost.
have a
There you
woman.
go. Yeah,
And
right.
and it's
Almost.
hard-
That's happening.
It's hard to have a woman respect you and she's standing on you. Like,
Right.
and this is what a lot of people don't understand. Our women, the reason why it wasn't good for us to be alone in the first place is because we had no one to test us. You know, and you know, it's simple. If it's just you and God, you have no way of, you know, trying to figure it out. But in order for us to have dominion and have free will, somebody is going to have to test that. And who better than that than a part of us, our flesh and our bone, right? So if you really start looking at some of the things that they do and some of the things that they say, they're going to test us to see if we idol worship them. And every time, I'm going to tell you this, and all the fellas know this, every time you overly do it for a woman, she may like you, but she does not respect you.
Damn. That's crazy.
You ain't getting no respect. You think I'm gonna worship the ground you walk on? You better continue to walk on. I'm gonna
Man.
tell you straight.
I'm telling you, you're not going to get any respect. Now, unfortunately, some men are starving for so much love that they're willing to be disrespected permanently just to be temporarily liked.
Damn.
Yeah, you go. Yo, Doc is going crazy today.
Woo-wee.
He's going crazy. Doc, there was something that we discussed, right? Last week that caught me. And we were discussing actually finding the right mate, right?
Yes.
Now that's of massive importance because that's what
Yes.
leads to a lot of this, right? And we were having a little
Yes.
conversation. We'll go into that a little bit, and then I'll jump in. We'll jump in.
I'll start off with this, and I've realized this just by sitting back listening to a lot of people, men, women, elders specifically our seniors. Women outnumber men, but men outnumber wives.
Oh man, come on.
Straight up.
Oh,
And that's
man.
the reason why we are marrying so many women, hoping that they're a wife. And we'll never meet our wives because we're still fighting with women.
Oh,
That's the
man.
reason why domestic violence, the key reason of domestic violence is because most of us have never been married and we are in a marriage.
Damn. Hey. Okay, Doc, you dropping bombs.
Right.
Things are exploding in here. You can't see it. Right, a couple sisters just passed out. We reviving them right now.
It's all good.
You know,
It's
we
all
reviving
good.
them. But we got some good ones here.
Yeah.
Let me
It's
read this
number
to you.
love.
Yeah, let me read this to you. Let's get
Yes,
Sirach
sir.
6 and 7, right? Because this is what you're saying. When we and here in the congregation Israel United in Christ, what we do is we have, now again, we don't have arranged marriages, right? But we do have a proving process, right? Like it used to be.
Yes.
Long time ago, right? Where you have courting and
Yes.
so forth. The families are
Yes.
involved. Everybody knows what's going on. And this is what it is. We have to prove each other, right? We got to prove. So come on.
This is the book of Sirach, or Ecclesiasticus, chapter 6 and verse 7. If thou wouldest get a friend, prove him first.
Right. If you're going to get a friend, meaning what? Like your wife, even that, you have to prove your wife is a friend. If you want to get a friend, prove him first or her first. Come on.
And be not hasty to credit him.
Right. Because you know how men are. You meet a beautiful woman, that's all you need.
Right.
She's
That's it.
fly. She's beautiful. I don't care about nothing else. Can she cook? No, don't worry about it. We're going to work on that.
We
Does
did
she clean
find
the
this over
house?
friendship.
No, she can't clean, but she's beautiful. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But these are the things
Yep.
we got to look into. She got a bad attitude. You don't care. She's beautiful. You know? Well, go ahead. You had something, bro? Oh, okay. Go ahead, Doc.
So we chose fineness over friendship, and you just said
Right,
this. Even
right.
Christ talked about friendship, right?
Right.
He was like, "Man, I don't even call you servants anymore. I call you my friends." Right.
Right. If you keep my
think about-
commandments.
and think about this. Many of us equated drama with love. So how many men married women who really outwardly loathed and disliked them, and said, "I need to do right by her."
Right.
Like he was already doing wrong just by being in the same room with her, right? And think about this: how many men have been approached and said, "When you gonna do right by her? When you gonna settle down and stop playing with her or wasting her time?" Have y'all ever heard of wasting her time?
Of course. Make her an honest woman. That's what they say.
Right. Now,
Old school.
this is the thing I used to wonder, because people used to say this a lot around me, and I was like, okay, if we're both on this planet trying to live our purpose for the Most High, how can I waste her time if we both have free will? How can I waste her time? Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not justifying lying to anyone.
Right.
But the biggest question I have is, what makes her time more valuable than mine?
Right.
Like, who said this? Now, I will tell you this, and I want y'all to respond to this. Y'all ever heard of the term biological clock?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So we have been minimized to a reproductive partner. Well, a lot of us have, and we've accepted that role because we wanted to make sure she's not angry with us, even if she has not even shown herself friendly. We need to do right by someone who's our enemy. And that's the reason why our homes are being destroyed.
The reason why another reason why our homes is being destroyed, because these men don't know what being a man is. Give me 1 Kings chapter 2 and verse 2. Give me that. First we gotta understand what being a man is in order to be a man. A lot of these men out here as little boys, they don't know how to use words. They don't know what order look like. They don't know what structure look like, right? And that's why, and this is how you get these type of situations. Read that.
Correct.
This is 1 Kings chapter 2 and verse 2.
Come on.
I go all the way of the earth. Be thou strong, therefore,
Come on.
and show thyself a man.
Read.
And keep the charge of the Lord thy God.
So a part of being a man, a godly man, is that you keep the charge. Meaning what?
That's right.
Meaning you know how to follow order. Go ahead.
To walk in his ways.
What is his ways? His laws, his statutes, his commandments. Because guess what? Everything that's written in this book is meant to protect us from simpage. It's meant to protect us from being ran over. It's meant to protect us and to keep everything in its proper order. Go ahead.
To keep his statutes and his commandments.
Because if you keep the statutes and the commandments, then you're gonna walk in your role as a man. The woman is gonna stay in her role as a woman and being submissive to a godly man. Go ahead.
And his judgments and his testimonies, as it is written in the law of Moses.
Come on.
That thou mayest prosper in all that thou doest, and whithersoever thou turnest thyself.
So when you start to prosper, when you show yourself a real godly man, a man that's going to take care of his family, his wife, his kids, as it is written. That's when you get your manhood from. But we don't understand that because we haven't been taught this stuff. Give me one more. Give me 1 Maccabees chapter 2 and verse 46. Come on.
1 Maccabees chapter 2 and verse 46.
These are attributes of a man right here. Come on.
And what children soever they found within.
1 Maccabees chapter 2 and verse 64. I'm sorry. 64.
Verse 64.
Yeah.
Wherefore, ye my sons, be valiant.
Be valiant. Pay attention. Keep your eyes open.
And show yourselves men.
And show yourselves men. This is how you show yourself men. How?
In the behalf of the law.
In the behalf of God's law. That's how you become a man. Because again, the scriptures say marriage is honorable in all. And then when we do that the right way, that's how you show yourself a man. Because why? You following the blueprint that the Most High God gave you.
authority.
Right. And the thing of it is, right, and what you said, authority, because that's when we just read before about what? Teaching the young women how to love their husbands, right? And they have to learn what the order, like the officer was just bringing out. And real quick, before we get back, Doc, give me 1 Corinthians 11 real quick, because these kind of scriptures, they help us. You know what I mean?
Yes.
They help us understand what's going on with clear, you know?
Yes.
And a woman going into a marriage, she reads that, she's very clear, right? Let me get that. Verse 3.
1 Corinthians chapter 11 and verse 3. But I would have you know that the head of every man is Christ.
That's it. You a godly man, Christ is your head, right? He's your boss. Read.
And the head of the woman is the man.
Right. The head of the woman is the man. And this is what the Lord told Eve back in the garden. After she messed up and Adam messed up, he said, now, guess what? Your desire is going to be to your husband. He's going to have rule over you, right? So these are the things that we have to look at, right? Go ahead. That was it on that?
And the head of Christ is God.
Right. And the head of Christ is God, the Father, right? So go ahead, Doc.
So if we really look at it, we're looking at a specific hierarchy, and we're looking at a specific alignment for our assignment, man. So I always look at, I know a lot of people don't reject hierarchy when it comes down to the corporate ladder.
Ah, there you go. That's right.
So a lot of people know exactly how to climb that corporate ladder. They know which positions are above each position.
That's right.
But when it comes down to our family structure, we have no idea of what we're doing in 2024 collectively. I know some of us still do.
Right.
A lot of us who study, a lot of us who have the structure and authority, we're running like a well-oiled machine, but what is being magnified and marketed is complete destruction. And the brother said this earlier, and I wanted to make sure I compliment him on this. He said, a lot of people just don't even have the words. And I want everybody to hear me loud and clear. I'm going to break something down, and hopefully everybody understands where I'm about to go. One of the key elements of domestic violence is when people have no idea what to say, and if they're saying something, they don't even know what they're saying. and I'm noticing it because a lot of people have emotions without words, and usually that results in physical altercation.
Absolutely.
Right? Notice how every time we have a physical altercation, that's when people stop communicating. Have y'all ever seen that before?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
When people say, ain't no more talking.
Right.
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 So unfortunately, people who have not studied, who have not been taught, and who have not tried to learn what it is to be a man or a woman, a husband or a wife, or just even a family member. Some people haven't even taught the curriculum of being a functional family member. Let's let that sink in for a minute. Some people have been given the title brother without even knowing the attributes.
Right.
Given the title sister without, it's just a biological assignment. It's no more psychological anymore, and not even a spiritual one anymore. It's just biological. You get the title just because you were born. Most titles are earned. And unfortunately, in our family, we don't have people actually teaching the roles and responsibility of every hat you wear. I am a son, a grandson, a nephew, a cousin, a brother, an uncle, a husband, a father. You know what I'm saying? I'm all of those, and possibly even more. I had to sit down and say, man, I need a job description for all of them, because if you don't know exactly what you're doing, you're going to mess up something before you even start it, right? And so a lot of times when we start looking at our roles as people, when we start I was saying use certain words to try to demean and label other people, it's amazing because people who would tell you who a real man is have never been a man in their entire life and never will be.
Right.
Most of the people who are telling you what a real man is are children and women. Damn. Think about it when we were growing up.
Yeah.
Some of our peer pressure came from, hey, man, you'll be the man if. It's always you have to prove yourself to be a man. When in actuality, if you understand manhood, another man can't give it to you. It's something that you have to earn, understanding why you were born in the first place, looking after your purpose in life and finding out who God is and seeking the kingdom of heaven and all its righteousness. And then it'll be given into you. But if you're trying to prove it in the flesh world, you end up having to risk your flesh to try to prove your manhood. And we see a lot of people are in the flesh category of manhood, and we're seeing them financially being destroyed, physically being destroyed, mentally being destroyed because their spirit was nowhere around it. So I always ask a lot of people, man, when you start talking about what manhood really is, first of all, you have to believe that manhood come from the most powerful source in existence. We have to at least start there, right? And if you don't start there, you're going to be kind of going backwards, because if you think manhood can be proven to other people who are still trying to figure this life thing out, you're going to be sadly mistaken.
So
I
Doc,
ended there.
let me ask you. So I know you work in the schools and whatnot. So what because obviously, you know, for us, we deal with the scriptures. We deal with everything with the scriptures, with the young men, the young girls. We teach them in the scriptures and raise them up that way to have honor, respect towards one another, right? That love, that the brotherly love towards one another, right? Don't hate your neighbor, so on and so forth. So how are you dealing with the kids in the school? You know what I mean? Because you're probably not able to use the Bible. You know, you have to use certain tools. Like, how are you dealing with that to get these young ladies to, you know, refrain from those actions and the young men to learn how to deal with it?
The beautiful thing about the word of God is the way, the truth, and the life, right? So even if you can't bring the Bible inside of schools, you can't stop the word of God from entering any place that he owns.
Okay.
That's the thing that I love laughing at school systems when they say they can try to take God out of something he created.
Right.
If God is in all of us, you can't help but have God in schools. I just sit back and laugh at it, right? So the only thing I have to do is, first of all, what makes the Bible so powerful is that it's a reference tool, right? We get to go back and reference and read it together, study it. Whoever has authority of interpretation, they teach us, then we have to go home and do our own studying at home, right? Then we apply what we've studied. One of the main things I do in the school system, I have every child with discipline problems read the student code of conduct, and they have to read the teacher code of conduct. Why? Because if the word and the truth will make you free, if you don't even know what you're dealing with or what game is being played with you, you will always be in bondage anyway. So it's not necessarily what
when you
can
say,
we.
I'm sorry, Doc. When you say the game being played in regards to the so what game is that? What do you mean by that? Because I know there's something in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for that question. Because let me. I don't like saying things that can confuse people. So thank you for asking me to clarify that. Right. So the games that are being played, I am an education consultant. So usually people come in and ask me to fix behavior for kids. So I come in and I always ask the principal and assistant principal. I said, so what is the behavior like for the kids, right? And they say, well, they're unruly, they're this, they're that. And I said, okay, all right. And so give me their discipline referrals. And I look up the discipline referrals, and they're very vague, meaning disrespect, unruly. Matter of fact, the words, they have no definitions. And just like the brother said earlier, people don't even know these words, right? So when I come in and I ask the teacher about, hey, he's been written up 14 times before October about being rude. I said, can you give me a working definition of these words? And some of the teachers said, well, you know what I'm talking about. And I said, I absolutely do not know what you're talking about. I'm a guest in your school. You've written them up for being rude or talking. I said, give me some specifics about what actually happened. When the game I'm talking about is certain kids, when you have vague rules and people can make them up as they go, you can target children quicker and more efficient, right? So when I asked them for their discipline referrals and they always have words with no clear definitions, I can tell you they're going to be targeting certain children and human trafficking them outside of the school to the alternative school and eventually to the prison system.
Wow. That's heavy stuff. That's heavy, because you use the term human trafficking them, right? To another school, to an alternative school, and then into the prison system. I was just getting ready to ask you that, because at that point, they'd be able to label them, right? Possibly put them on medication, right? And in the attempt to probably get money or some type of grant money to have certain amount of kids that are ADHD or whatever the case may be. We're seeing this in a lot of different areas. We had a conversation maybe about a month ago about the school to prison pipeline, where they're like labeling children a certain way in order for them to get certain funds and then put them in a certain place, and then all of a sudden they're off to the prison system. So this is heavy what you're bringing out, what you call the human trafficking. That's crazy. Go ahead, Doc.
And what makes it so egregious, I see parents selling their children off into the special education system.
What do you mean by that?
So if I'm a parent, and remember, domestic violence starts when someone's time is being wasted. Okay, I want everybody to know this because it goes back to the curriculum that you have for your men and women in your institution, in your organization, right? You want to train them. Well, you have a lot of people who have procreated with their own enemies, right? So if you really look at it, if I'm no longer with my enemy, but I have the offspring of my enemy, I can make money easily off someone I have no emotional attachment to. And that's what a lot of the domestic violence, a lot of people don't talk about, is complete neglect, right? So a lot of people have children by somebody they don't like, and that child is a reminder of the mistakes or just the discipline they did not have. And I'm encountering parents who say some horrendous things about their children to the point, Captain, I'm in certain meetings, and some of the meetings I would have to stop because I'm not allowing the parent to just emotionally destroy their child in front of me. That's where we're going with this, right? So you have a lot of people who have procreated with the enemy, and they're physically, emotionally, psychologically, and now I would say pharmaceutically, I don't even know if that's a word.
Pharmaceutically.
Abusing their children because they're putting them on medication so they don't have to raise someone they don't like.
Damn. This is heavy, man. Y'all brothers got something?
Man, he with
yeah, yeah. This is it's real. You got something, officer? He said, "Let me think about it." Yeah, because no, that's heavy because you heard years ago, right? A long time ago. This had to be like 15, 20 years ago. They would be talking about putting kids on Ritalin.
Yeah.
Right. And putting them on these different drugs, and then they're in these classrooms and they're pretty much just sitting there, right?
Yeah.
They're not interacting, they're not learning because they're in a fog, and they don't even need to be there. It's so all about interaction with the children and growing them, but nobody's doing it, right?
You want to hear? Yep. You want to hear something that's very, very disturbing? I'm in the school system. I'm working with kids who are all type of behavior disorders. I'm talking about the spectrum is wide. I had a gentleman who was in a custodian position at the time walk up to me and said, "Dr. Pugh," he said, "Nobody's going to tell you this, man." He said, "Do you know why these kids are acting the way they act?" I said, "Well, it's a lot of different things." He said, "Let me stop you before you start doing all that, whatever you read stuff." He said, "The kids don't get sunlight, man." I said, "Excuse me, sir?" He said, "Yeah, you got them cooped up in a building all day. These are children now." He said, "You ever farmed before? You ever seen plants before?" I said, "Yes, sir, I've seen it." He's like, "Do you expect plants to grow indoors, man?" I was like, "You got a point." He said, "These kids are vitamin D deficient and malnourished and medicated."
Damn. You know what?
And I just had to sit there and shake my head.
You know, that's heavy stuff because now you're saying malnutrition, right? Because even in the school system, the food in there is terrible, right?
Oh man,
it's not. It's definitely not the best unless you're sending your child to like a real good charter school or something where they have actually good meals, chefs there cooking. You know what I'm saying? I've seen that, right? And but generally, the food is bad. It's almost like prison. You know what I'm saying? With the mishmash, they call it chicken, like a chicken nugget, but it's really like paper towels and ketchup in there. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It ain't really chicken. You know what I mean? Like it's just madness. So all of that plus what you're saying. I mean, it's funny you bring up vitamin D because the other day I'm in the house and I'm feeling like sluggish. As soon as I went outside, it felt like I drank 2 cups of coffee, and I kept forgetting. I was like, damn, I got to get outside, man. I got to be out there in that light. You know what I mean?
The hormones. Think about this. Vitamin D affects our hormones, right? So you got a lot of kids who are cooped up in the school system. And if you already been labeled as a behavior problem, they're going to put you in the hole called ISS. Right?
What is that?
The hole, just like they have in prison.
In
school suspension.
Wow.
Right? If you've been labeled, so watch this. You can be labeled without even a record. I've had a teacher look at me and say, I already know about you. If I have any problems about you, that's it. And I'm sitting there like, hi, this is the first day of school. My name's Chris. Like, where are you getting this from? Because you have to, we got to start being honest too. We have a lot of people in our school system who do not want to be there at all. And those people are making it very hard for our true educators who can't wait to come to school and influence our children to be great people, right?
Right.
But you have a lot of people who are specifically placed in our school system to target our youth. And a lot of people just think it's domestic violence. When you start talking about institutional violence, we're going to have a whole nother ball game we got to play.
Right.
That's what a lot of people don't get. If you find out how many times these kids get off the bus and getting screamed at all day long, and then got to go home and get screamed at all night long, you will start understanding why they're looking for the streets for a hug.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. And I'm gonna say this something, I'm gonna make it quick. I had a young man who had behavior problems, and he was in a gang or whatnot, and he was talking about how many people that he lost and this, that, and other. And I said, hey man, so what is the end result? Like, what have you seen? And it was someone who just got killed in the neighborhood, like over the weekend before I came there on Monday, right? And I said, you knew the young man? He was like, yeah, I knew him. I said, so let me ask you this, man. What is the end goal? Why are you in it? What happened? He said, well, I lost my brother to the street. And I said, well, what did you see? He said, he just wrong place, wrong time. Somebody got mad and he tried to shoot, tried to fight somebody and somebody shot him. And I said, well, what did you learn? I said, what did you see? Tell me what's in your position. He was like, I just remember at my funeral, and my mama, was hugging the casket. And I said, well, what did you learn? And he said something that changed my life. He said that was the only time I seen my mama hug my brother when he was dead.
Damn.
And so I said, who are you looking to get a hug from? And he just burst down into tears. So some of these people have been abused to the streets. See, remember, we love. I used to love, man, what's going on with these gangs? What's going on with these gangs? And until I found out how many of us are pushing them to the street, because anytime we're pushing them out the home, we're pushing them to the street, no matter how much we want to act like we're giving tough love. And I always tell my parents this: tough love that doesn't work is just stroking your ego, and it's called abuse.
That's heavy. And let me say this as well. So when it comes in regards to the young ladies, right? The young women coming up, because we know they're jumping into the gangs as well, right? Yep. And now it seems like they're getting more violent than it was in the past, right? You can see, maybe you saw like one young female dealing with a bunch of guys. Now they got crews of them, right?
Right.
In the school system, when people are seeing this, and I know it's hard because nobody wants to get involved. They're scared of the kids. They don't want to, they would want the parents to come down on them. But how is that being dealt with? Because these are the same young ladies who's becoming older, right? Laying with these guys, having kids, hating the man. You know what I mean?
Yep.
What's being done about that? And I know not much, but I'm saying from your point of view, because you're in there every day, what is that looking like?
Right. Now, I will tell you this. There are several, you got coaches, you got people like me, consultants, you got teachers who've been there for 30, 40 years, retired and came back because their neighborhood is not safe anymore. So they had to go back in the school system just so they can sleep at night. This is how deep this has gotten, right? When you start talking about these young ladies are, and these are the ones that I've witnessed. I can only speak on what I've seen. A lot of the young ladies who are extremely upset know that this society is lying to them. They know it, but it's just making them temporarily feel so good and stimulating them. It's hard to let go of a lie, especially when it feels good. Especially when you're supposed to be developing into a much more functional human being that's leading into adulthood, but a lot of people are applauding your dysfunction. I've seen young ladies be fake proud before, right? Like they can give you popularity, but they can't give you any pride. I've seen young ladies act a certain type of way, and I had this young lady one time, and she was just acting a certain type of way. I don't label it, but I looked at her and I said, man, you are really trying to put on some type of persona that you really don't even like. And she just kept doing it. And I said, look, I can see the real you. You're putting on a show for people you don't even like. Why you need them to like you so bad to the point where you're trying to act all ignorant with me? And she just sat there. And I said, before you go off on me, because I know you know how to cuss, I said, did I just disrespect you, or am I finally seeing you?
Right.
Which one is it? Because a lot of these young people now, the first thing they love to say is somebody's disrespecting them, right?
Oh, yeah.
And what I used to always tell them, I said, all right, before I talk to you, am I respecting you? I always like to disarm them first. And these young ladies are using disrespect as a justification for their horrific behavior, and saying, well, I hit him because he disrespected me. And we have so many gullible adults that's just falling for it. They don't respect themselves. They don't respect the adult, and they don't even respect the young man they just got finished hitting.
That's right.
So I'm looking at them, and these girls are deteriorating to the point where I come in and try to tell them some truth. Even if they don't like me, they like the truth because it's totally different. Right. One thing about this, and I want every adult to understand this, children want to learn. I want y'all to hear me. Even the ones that we've given up on, the thing where they got learning disabilities, all this, they want to learn. Most of the time, children actually just want to listen to somebody who's not lying. Right. We've complimented them to the point where they don't even respect us anymore.
Right.
We're just calling them great. We're doing it. Don't get me wrong. They're supposed to be uplifted. But when we start just complimenting them without doing any work, they know we're strangling them socially. They know it.
Right. Because generally, Doc, even if you look at your own kids, right, the children love when you correct them. Now,
they love it.
Right.
They love it.
Later on, you'll see it. They'll come back to you when they're older, because I got older children. They knew when they were getting corrected, they now come back like, man, I really learned a lot throughout all of those things. And now you with these young women we talking about, because their homes are broken, because this is really what it is. There's no father there. The father has to be there. Right.
Right.
And I just want to read this for you real quick. Give me Sirach 42. Because in verse 9, we're gonna start there, because without that father, that's where the lack of respect for the young men comes in. Because generally, when you see a woman being raised with her dad, when she gets with a man, she has a certain amount of respect for him already, right? Just because. But go ahead, officer, read.
This is the book of Sirach, chapter 42 and verse 9. The father waketh for the daughter when no man knoweth.
Right.
And the care for her taketh away sleep.
Right. So for your daughter, you're waking up, you're thinking about her all the time, right? You're nervous for her. You want to make sure she's all right. And the care for her will take away your sleep. That's what it's saying. Read.
When she is young, lest she pass away the flower of her age. And being married, lest she should be hated.
Come on.
In her virginity, lest she should be defiled and gotten with child in her father's house.
Right. So he got to watch her. You got to have a strong eye watching over your child, especially that daughter. Because she's going to mess around, come in, get pregnant, and bring that baby in the father's house. That's madness. Read.
And having an husband, lest she should misbehave herself.
Come on.
And when she is married, lest she should be barren.
Right. So the Lord is saying he ain't going to give her no children. But read on.
Keep a sure watch over a shameless daughter.
That's it right there. Keep a sure watch over a shameless daughter. Right. Because a man knows his children. And when you see your daughter going in that certain direction, you're going to grab her up. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's physically or, you speaking to her and teach her. Read.
Lest she make thee a laughing stock to thine enemies.
Right. That's the young girls you talking about, sitting there trying to play tough with you and all of that. That's madness. Read on.
And a byword in the city.
Right. Calling her a little hoe or whatever else. You know what I mean? Or what 304s or whatever the new term is. Right. Go ahead.
Right.
And a reproach among the people. And make thee ashamed before the multitude.
Right. And make thee ashamed before everybody. Right. So that's why that father needs to be there. Right. Go ahead.
Yeah. And when the father ain't there, right, you get all of those nasty little attributes that we just read about. Right. And then this happens. Go to Isaiah chapter 3 and verse 12. And then that's when this happened. You got me?
Isaiah chapter 3 and verse 12.
Come on.
As for my people, children are their oppressors, and women rule over them.
Wait, who rule over these kids that's terrorizing the neighborhoods?
Women rule over them.
Who's teaching our children how to be gangbangers and running them off into the streets?
Women rule over them.
Why? Because there's no father in the house to teach morals unto the younger boys and how to keep our young girls inside to be that virtuous woman that the scriptures talk about. Read on.
O my people, they which lead thee.
Who is the people that's leading our people? Your entertainers, your rappers, your movie stars. These is the people that's leading our people, right? Come on.
Cause thee to err.
And how are they leading our people? Because these women, they take their kids and they sit them in front of YouTube all day.
Yeah, and sit them in front of reality TV.
They sit them in front of reality TV. They sitting, they 12, 11, and 12, 13-year-old daughters are sitting up watching Basketball Wives all day.
Yep.
So the Sexy Reds and all of these vile people, these are the people that's causing our children to err. Go ahead.
And destroy the way of thy path.
And they destroyed the way of the path. How? Because now you got women that's glorifying being whores. Mm-hmm. You got men that's glorifying putting hot bullets in other men. And our kids is watching these things and it's destroying the path, and it's making we getting worse and worse and worse. Give me one more. And what's the other one? 2nd Ezra 5 and 8. 2nd Ezra 5 and 8.
2nd Ezra chapter 5 and verse 8.
Come on.
There shall be a confusion also in many places. And the fire shall be oft sent out again. And the wild beasts shall change their places. And menstruous women shall bring forth monsters.
These menstruous women is what's bringing forth the monsters. Why? Because they kicking the man out the house. They doing whatever they want to do. And it all stems back to one thing, that we don't know who we are. We don't know what we're supposed to be doing. We don't know which way is up. We don't know left from right. We got to come back to that. So the message is we have to come back to who we were. Because when we were that people, right? We knew who we were, and we knew what we were supposed to be doing. The outcome of what we had was way different. Right. It was way different. Judah 5, the last one, and I'm done.
And just to jump in on that, right? Because even when you coming out of slavery, you coming into Jim Crow, you coming into that whole time period, right? Our families were together during that time.
Right.
So how the hell we gonna be together during slavery, Jim, all the worst parts in American history?
Right.
Right.
Bring it out.
Now all of a sudden we getting divorced every 5 minutes.
Right. Every 5.
Now nobody could be together no more.
Bro,
you know what I mean?
They get married and then getting annulled, bro.
Right.
They ain't even been married for a month.
Less than a year.
Exactly. All of a sudden, like you said, you marry your enemy, right? Because it starts because we're not raised correctly, right? So now we just, as soon as we see something, but this is the mindset how we would destroy it over time.
Yeah.
You know? But go ahead. You had one more before.
Yeah. Judah 5.
This is the book of Judith, chapter 5 and verse 20.
17.
Verse 17.
Yeah.
And whilst they sin not before their God.
When we sin not before our God, that look, we all had sense of self. We all knew our purpose, and we knew what we were supposed to be doing. Read.
They prospered.
We prospered. We prospered as a people. It wasn't much black on black crime going on because we all knew our value. We all knew our worth. So when we didn't go against our God, we prospered. Read on.
Because the God that hateth iniquity was with them.
The God that hateth sin was with us. Well, watch this. Watch what happened to our people when the God that hateth iniquity departed from us. Come on.
But when they departed from the way which he appointed.
When we departed from the way that God appointed us, men being in their role, women being in their role, children being in their role, all loving each other with brotherly love. Go ahead.
They were destroyed in many battles.
Wait, we were destroyed. You hear that? We were destroyed. Look at us right now. We are destroyed in every battle that we come across. The physical battle, we destroyed. The physical battle, we destroyed. The mental, the emotional, the spiritual. We destroyed in all of these on every plane and every battlefield because we don't know who we are. We departed from the way that we were supposed to be from the beginning. Go ahead.
They were destroyed in many battles, very sore, and were led captives into a land that was not theirs.
So look at us right now. We are here as captives in a land that we do not know, or in a land that we were not born here. And we led captives here. Why? Because we don't know who we are. We're not doing the things that we're supposed to be doing. Go ahead.
And the temple of their God was cast to the ground.
And the temple of our God was cast to the ground. Everything that we know from our language, our culture, our
history,
our history, our whole background, everything was wiped away. Why? Because we stepped away from what we were supposed to be doing. And that's the root cause of everything. And that's why we push so hard to give our people their history back. Because without no value, our sisters are going to continue to be baby mamas with 5 or 6 different baby daddies. They're going to continue to do that.
And Doc, I'm going to let you jump in there real quick. And because the historical aspect of it is great, right? Not only do we have to teach our people that we're the Israelites from the youth up, but we go back and we show our people before they took us from Africa. We show them when we were in Europe. We show them when we were running Spain as the Moors and so on and so forth. This is going to build our people to let them know we didn't just come over in a boat with loincloth.
Right.
You understand
Bring it
what
out.
I'm saying? And we just
Ooh.
like some savages that got civilized when we got here. No, they took those when they went to Africa. They went and got the engineers. They got the jewelers. They got the artisans and so on and so forth. All of the brilliance. That's what they went and brought. You understand? So this is what we feel like when we teach our people, they're going to grow from that. All right. But go ahead, Doc. Go ahead.
So one of the things that you said earlier, and I was having a discussion about the father in the home. One of the things that I found out is that anytime when you remove the regulator out of any system, the system breaks down. And one of the main things that I want people to hear me loud and clear is that the presence of manhood and masculinity inside of the home, it actually gives out regulation, right? And so what has happened, you have a lot of children, and like I said before, this should be offensive, but it's not the intent to be offensive. It should be offensive to all deception, right? A lot of the times people don't understand a woman's emotion is heavy, right? Women have a lot of different feelings. They are justified to have all of their feelings. But the man and the husband and the father in the home regulates those feelings so the children are not emotionally exhausted. Now, let me tell you what I mean. I've seen a lot of young girls who, without the father in the home, their mother compete with them. And I've seen young boys.
Whoa, Doc, don't just pass by that. I don't want you to just jump and run, man. Stay right there. Stay right there. Because I had a nice conversation with a sister from the congregation yesterday, and she was telling me about a mother competing.
Yes.
Now this is things that we never even consider, because I've never been in a situation, but my dad wasn't competing with me. My dad's like, you're a little damn boy. It was in a competition. But for whatever reason, you get some mothers that's competing with their daughters. This is heavy. Yeah. Stay there. Talk to us a little bit about that. That's crazy.
It's called, I would say, emotional. A lot of people call it emotional molestation when it comes down to women and young boys, because they have a lot of women who have emotionally married their sons, right? And the reason why a lot of men, even if you have not been physically abused, the reason why it's hard for a lot of women to find husbands is because a lot of boys have been married since they were 5 years old. I'm telling you.
Oh, man. What they call them? Son husbands or something, right? There's a term.
Yeah. Well,
son husband.
This is the thing. Even when we're boys, manhood was already placed in us. It just has to mature, right? So even if you're the only boy in the house, for some strange reason, you think you have to be the man of the house. Right. That's just what it is. Now, even if the mother did not intentionally make you in control of her emotions, just having a woman crying in front of you, a little boy will naturally say, hey, what's wrong? Did somebody do something to you? Mm-hmm. What do I need to do to make this better? When in actuality, a lot of mothers cannot, and some of them will never be totally transparent of where those tears are coming from. because when the boy actually gives that attention, the mother likes the attention so much, she's not going to tell them the real reason why she may be crying. It is because a lot of decisions that have been made that may be at the detriment of the family, and the boy will actually protect it, not knowing. And that's the reason why a lot of young boys, and I'm dealing with so many men and boys who've never met their biological father until they were like 25 and 26.
Right.
And by the time they've been hating that man for 10, 20, 30 years, and they got his side of the story, just for one conversation, it saved their life.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm gonna tell you,
I know a couple.
I'm telling you, and it's not, and a lot of the men who left, and this is what I want everybody to understand. We were talking about domestic violence against men, right? A lot of people have no idea how many men left their families just so they won't go to jail for defending themselves. That story alone, when you talk about unheard of and unreported, the men, who are they going to tell that I had to leave my family because I was getting beat on, right? Now, watch this. You have people who have successfully assaulted men, and when you can turn a man's child against him, where can he go?
Right.
Do you know how many men can't even come home because the children already believe that they can assault him because they believed everything the mother has said about him? And that's the reason why some men have left. And don't get me wrong, they are not proud of leaving because they know they wanted to leave. They know they wanted to stay, right? However, this is what a lot of men are telling me. They're saying that, hey, if I stayed there, I know I would at least be in jail for a long period of time. If we got into an altercation, the report would be that I initiated it, even if I tried to stop it. And then thirdly, even if I was actually there and I called the police would ask her if she's all right, even if she was the one that was doing the assault.
Right.
So a lot of men, unfortunately, resorted to removing themselves out of the family so they can see their children at an older age.
That's crazy.
And this is not justification of leaving. This is just cause and effect from a lot of men that I'm hearing.
Right. Let me read this to you real quick.
Yeah.
Let me get Proverbs 14:1. Because this is what you're saying. Like a lot of women, due to whatever upbringing and hatred, they wind up tearing up their own family. You know? Right. And that's what we try to stay building, you know what I'm saying, as far as a marriage, to be able to have other people around to hold everybody accountable, right?
Right.
Read that real quick, just the first verse.
Proverbs chapter 14, verse 1. Every wise woman buildeth her house,
right,
but the foolish pluck it down with their hands.
Right, but the foolish ones, right? Those women who have no understanding, they're the ones that run those men out of the house. They destroy their house. So that's what that's really going into. But go ahead, Doc.
Mm-hmm. So a lot of the times we have celebrated drama and we called it love, right? Now, I perform comedy. I'm a student of comedy as well. How many of y'all have ever heard comedians joke about being beat with extension cords and frying pans and all these different things? And
oh yeah,
I lived
the Hot Wheels track. The Hot Wheels track.
I lived that.
Yeah, that was me.
I lived that.
Yeah.
Stitching cords.
Right.
Yeah.
Now watch this.
Sticks.
Even us. Let's pay attention to our body language when we just talked about it. Right. I'm smiling. The brothers, y'all are smiling.
Right.
Hell yeah.
Right.
You see what we're talking about here? So even our own domestic violence, man, it's entertainment.
Right.
Even to me still.
But this is what we were saying earlier, Doc. When we talking about this and we're watching little videos. Even last night I was watching something and the guy is talking about himself getting beat up by his woman. And then he pauses and he's like, you know, now that I'm thinking about it, it's really coming back to me now. I just bust out laughing.
Yes.
Because I'm like, this don't make no sense. Bruh, just run out of the house, bruh. Get out of there. Do something. You know what I mean? Defend yourself at least. Right. But we don't take it seriously. But go ahead. I'm sorry, Doc. I'm sorry.
Let me ask you, let me tell y'all this too. Let's jump from the home into corporate America. Do you know how many men are harassed at the jobs and don't even know it?
No. They know they're being harassed.
Hell yeah.
All right. Remember, we were talking, we were discussing this on the Saturday. We were talking about this. And I was saying a lot of men, they're sexually assaulted, right? And they're forced into certain things. You might think, wait a minute, how is a man being raped? How can he physically be raped? But it's the how can I say, the pressure that the woman puts on his pride,
Right.
that if he doesn't do it, now he's feeling less than a man, right? Only a man can understand that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But women know what they're doing. And I'm sorry, sisters, I'm not talking about the good sisters here at Israel United in Christ. I'm talking, you know what I mean? Brothers understand what I'm talking about, right? And they get that pressure and they're like, yo, if I don't do nothing, I'm looking like gay. Yeah. You know what I mean? Or they're feeling like maybe there's going to be some retribution or whatever. You know, so we talk about that, the woman being able to force the man into this kind of abuse. But again, how do you go to HR and say this? It's weird, right? You can't, for a man.
You sign that paper, sexual harassment.
Yeah, sexual harassment.
Well, just the law of manhood, your presence. Remember, we're the regulators, right?
Right.
We have a specific, and that's why I always tell people, I say equality is a beautiful word. And we won't have an honest conversation about equality until we start talking about the equality of consequences. Our consequences are not equal.
Right.
If I make a pass at her, it can be assault. If she makes a pass at me, it's a compliment. You understand what I'm saying? So it's a lot, just like you said, a lot of men have been coerced to take certain behaviors, because even if they don't, even if they take it a certain way that is not favorable to the person who's performing the assault, they can even say, well, I'll tell them you came on to me.
Exactly.
Like that's what a lot of people don't even get, because they know the balance. They know it's not balanced at all. The whole scale is tilted out of our favor, because our presence alone can be looked at as enough evidence to charge us. Like, have y'all ever been in a situation where you walked and someone said, oh my God, you scared me? And for some strange reason, we had the need to apologize. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to scare you. All of us have, well, I don't know if all of you have done it. I know I've done it several times, more than I will like to admit, right?
Right.
Because I have been conditioned. I don't even know if I've been taught, but I've been conditioned that the comfort of people who don't even care about me are more important than my presence on the planet.
Damn. Yeah.
And this is not, it's just wild, because most of us, especially larger men, I'm gonna just be totally transparent here.
Oh yeah.
When you are a larger man, you're supposed to take abuse at a higher rate.
Oh,
right?
absolutely. Absolutely.
You're supposed to be slapped, punched. You know, matter of fact, I didn't even know if people knew how to speak. They used to come up and putting their fist up, and I'm like, man, everybody's reading level has to be slow. You can't even just speak. Like, I didn't know what was going on, man. Like, people just wanted to have a physical altercation with people.
Right.
And you would sit there, and I used to ask other big people, and I was like, hey, man, do people just walk up to you and just start fighting you for some reason? He said, yeah, I don't know what that is. I said, bro, I really just think people just get their right. It's entertainment. Like I was saying before,
right.
A lot of people want to knock down the giant. A lot of people want to be able to see the giant fall. And when you are a man, you can be 5'2" and still be the tallest spiritual being in that room, specifically in corporate America. You could walk in a room and somebody even tell you, and a lot of men are hearing this, you can hear it right now. I can hear them smile. How many times you walk into a room in corporate America and people start talking about your demeanor?
Oh yeah, that's a big thing.
You didn't smile. They're saying you're not smiling enough.
Right. No, that's a big thing. That's real. That's real. I remember those days. You know, you come in, and you know, if they want to have a problem with you, right? They're gonna say, "Oh, you're not. You know, what's going on today? You know, you don't seem like something's going on. There's nothing going on, right?" Yeah. But now they can do that as what a mechanism to manipulate your behavior. You know what I mean? Start to modify it. Now you got to come in, and that's how we started coming in. Like, hey, how you doing? Hey, good morning, and you know, and all that. Start talking with a British accent. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's crazy.
Putting everybody's emotion over your own existence.
Right.
It's very critical that we understand that idol worship comes in many forms. Right. I even had to check myself, and when I'm going to a building, if I'm saying what's up, and if I'm going to somebody who I know, if they report me, they can have me, you know, hurt. Hey, how you doing? And I said, why in the hell is my voice more chipper?
You don't really talk.
Why is my
right?
Why is my,
Hey, I was telling one of the brothers that he was working at a job, and
Yeah.
I was walking into his establishment.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Hey, what's up, bro?" And then the white dude was behind me. He was like, "Hey, man, how you doing, man? Welcome to Best Buy." I'm like, "What the hell?" I got on him right then and there. Like, what was that?
Hey, y'all seen the video? Y'all seen the video with President Obama? Like, I think it was on Key and Peele.
Yes.
Right?
I remember
And President
I remember
Obama would
that.
come in and he see the brothers, he like, and then he see the white man. He's
Dap
like,
him up. Ah,
Hey.
shake the hand.
hey. But what was funny, did y'all see President Obama? He actually did that the other day.
really?
Obama, yeah, he walked into a room, he seen the brothers, and he started dapping them up, and then he went to the white man and started shaking their hands. Everybody was
Yeah,
laughing.
that's hilarious.
Yeah. But we
like
do
that.
that. We do that.
Yeah.
You know, we had those what you call it? Alter ego.
Yeah.
I think now it might be a little different, but back then you
Yeah.
would be on the phone in the interview, you walk into the office, and they'll be like,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yo,
Yeah.
that's you?
Yeah.
Because I had that thing spot on. Trust me.
Yeah.
I had it spot on. Oh, yes. How are you? Yeah. Yes, I
Hey, how
had
you
a job
doing?
and opportunity.
How'd
it go?
To your point, there's a movie called Sorry to Bother You.
Oh, I love that movie.
That
love that
is the what we're talking about right
Lakeith
now.
Stansfield.
Always try, man. Look, when you lighten your voice, remember, God's people have a specific tone of voice.
That's right.
When
That
you're a
resonates.
man,
Yep.
yeah, your voice carries, right? And I found out, and Captain, I'm gonna be honest with you, man. Well, I'm always honest with you. I'm gonna be transparent. When I found out, when I lightened my voice,
Right.
for other people, it was a form of idol worship.
Damn. Yeah.
I did not know. I didn't look at it as idol worship. I just thought I was trying to be professional.
Right.
But professionalism is also a code for idol worship if you're not careful.
Right.
Because if your whole demeanor, your whole purpose being dimmed, your light dimmed down just for someone else's comfort, you are worshiping something that is not God.
Damn.
And what a lot of people don't understand is that manhood suffers quicker with idol worship than anything else. And that's something that I have to learn every day as a man. Am I idol worshiping this? Am I worshiping this?
Right.
Am I working with it, or am I worshiping it? Am I in a state of fear, or am I in a state of faith and work? You understand what I'm saying? So it's just, we're going to be tested all day. And I want to be very, very clear about this. I don't apologize for what we're talking about, man. I need to say this out loud. What we're saying is offensive, and it should be if you are hurting children. I want to say that if you're hurting children, you're supposed to be offended by this podcast. If you're hurting your husband, your brothers and your sons and your nephews, you're supposed to be offended. And if you know you're not offended, it's because you know you're fed up with, because your life is being affected by men who've been abused for decades, and people don't even want to talk about it.
And that's excellent. And let me read this to you. Give me Ezekiel 16, right? Because like we talked about, when a man is not there, and you have the mother who is jealous over her daughter, right? But what happens?
Yes.
What happens in those cases is that the daughter starts to behave like the mother after a while, right? Because now she's trying to garner her love because she sees what's going on. And then we get to this, right? Give me 16. Let's start at 44.
Ezekiel chapter 16, verse 44. Behold, everyone that useth proverbs shall use this proverb against thee, saying, as is the mother, so is her daughter.
Right? As is the mother, so is her daughter. Read on.
Thou art thy mother's daughter, that loatheth her husband.
That hates her husband. And what else?
And her children.
And her children, like you said earlier, right? So that cycle just keeps repeating itself. Go ahead, read on.
And thou art the sister of thy sisters, which loathe their husbands and their children. Your mother was a Hittite, and your father an Amorite.
Right. So the Most High was just telling them, yeah, y'all was some dusty Africans. That's what he basically saying right there, right? Because he's saying y'all were not Israel, but y'all were acting like some Africans out in the dust. That's what he was telling them. But we just want to bring that to you. Right.
One of the things too, I realized too, that competition can stem from that daughter still being the essence of her father too. So remember, it's the mother. The daughter does belong to the mother, but remember that daughter is a reminder of that father in that household when he's no longer physically there.
Right.
His spirit is there. And see, well, a lot of people don't understand this too. The reason why a lot of marriages don't work is because a lot of people not only marry their enemy, but they marry their competition.
Oh
right?
man.
Oh, they marry their competition, because a lot of people have seen this. Because anytime when you're having a good time and your spouse, your life partner asks you what's so funny, and they look at you having a good time as a knock at them, please pay attention to that, because a lot of people have no idea that drama that you thought was a thrill and you thought it was sexy and thought it was love, it comes up as competition, and a lot of people start competing against you inside their own family. And what a lot of people don't even want to admit, a lot of people want to be parents before they want to be spouses, right? But a lot of people go through the spouse route just to be a parent. Damn. Just so it will be accepted. And that's what a lot of people don't get. That's the reason why I ask men to pay close attention. When you have that ultimatum marriage, when you get that ultimatum and say, hey, you need to marry me within the X amount of years or I'm gone, an ultimatum is a power move, not a purpose move. It is a power move. And I know we have a lot of different things telling us that we're supposed to marry people by a certain time. I say, you know what? And I posted this on Facebook the other day. Ladies, definitely, you can give an ultimatum all day, every day. You within your right. Got free will too, right? If you give an ultimatum, give a document that explains what type of wife you're going to be outside of your emotions. Then you can give an ultimatum, because you can't give someone an ultimatum if they can't read anything. It's hard. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
If that's a business deal at this point, ultimatums is just a hostile business deal with no paperwork.
Damn.
So I always tell ladies, if you give a man an ultimatum, which is well within your right, if you have a biological clock that you're going to go off of, you can do that. But let him know if you're not going to be a wife or not, that he can go free. Unfortunately, a lot of men worship that ultimatum thinking he's going to marry his wife when he doesn't even know he just married a power move person.
Right.
That's all it is.
And you mentioned something about the competition, right, between the wife and the husband. But it happened, the first marriage had that going on.
Right.
The very first one. Get that real quick in Genesis. Because I think this might fly past a lot of people's heads. I mean, we obviously study it here, but that's what Eve was doing. It became a competition to her.
Competition.
Right? Yeah. So check this out real quick. Go ahead. We're gonna just read like the first 4 verses. That's it.
3 and 1.
Yeah, 3 and 1. Yep.
Genesis chapter 3, verse 1. Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field, which the Lord God had made. And he said unto the woman, Yea, hath God said, Ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden?
Now, up until this time, Eve was good, right? She was there with Adam. Adam taught her everything. She accepted everything that was being said. Now Satan comes over and said, did God say that you can't eat of every tree of the garden? Go ahead.
And the woman said unto the serpent, We may eat of the fruit of the garden, we may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God hath said, Ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die.
Right.
And the serpent said unto the woman, Ye shall not surely die.
Verse 5.
For God doth know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be open, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil.
Right. So when she saw that now, wait, I'm going to be as gods. Because remember, the Lord was dealing strictly with Adam, and then Adam was bringing information to her. Now she's saying, wait a minute, I'm going to be just like Adam. So this was the first competitive thing going on in a marriage, and we see that today. And it turned out horrible then, and it's ridiculous now. You know what I mean? But go ahead, Doc.
All day. So it's one of those things where we sit back and we know we're kind of dealing with, and I'm just pleading with men across the board, because I'm dealing with families, marriages. They've been going on for 35, 40 years, but they have masked this marriage to make other people proud of them instead of having their own purpose, right? A lot of them have put on a facade. A lot of them have brought children into it. And a lot of people don't understand that you can still have 2-parent households with children, a dog, fences, 4 cars, and still have a broken home when you have a pretty house, right?
Right.
And we have a lot of people who are still trying to be the perfect family, when we all know that perfection doesn't even exist. So all the people who are trying to be perfect, You cannot be perfect without lying. And as soon as you lying, you ain't perfect. And so that's what a lot of people just don't understand. So I'm asking people before they even start thinking about marriage, have you been trained? Just like you were saying earlier, I'm glad that you're looking at your congregation to just say, hey, we need to go through this curriculum. We need to go through a step-by-step training program. Do you even know what a wife is? Do you know what a husband is? What's the definition? All right, you explained it to us to make sure you understand what your rights and responsibilities are, because a lot of people know all the responsibilities and a lot of people don't know none of the rights.
Right.
So it's a lot. It's more than just service, but you do have a purpose in that service. It's a position that you're supposed to be in to ultimately protect the next generation, and that's what a lot of people don't understand. And I'm still studying this, and correct me if I'm wrong. The more and more I look at the institution of marriage, it's almost like a shelter for the generations. Almost, that's what I see. And I can't say that I didn't write that. I'm just asking. I'm just looking at it as a person who's just looking at marriage. It looks like it could be protecting children that are trying to keep the bloodline going in a functional way. So there's no confusion, no deception, no anything.
Well, what it is it's a nation builder.
Yeah.
Right? It's a nation builder. So give me Hebrews 13:4 real quick, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because what this is going to do, if we prove the spouses as best as we can, because listen, like you said, it's not going to be a perfect thing, right? But again, if we know a particular, let's say you got a son, right? We have a young lady who we think, this can work. Okay, she does this, he does that. It might be compatible. They take a couple of years to know each other, right?
Yep.
No sex.
Mm-hmm.
That's very important, because once they have sex, it's game over. Now they can't even think straight no more, right?
Yep.
He already went in there. He's like, oh man, I don't want to let this thing go.
Yep.
I don't give a damn what's going on.
Right.
This is my baby, right? But no sex. Now they learn each other as best as possible. Now, obviously, when the marriage comes, now you're gonna, y'all live together. It's gonna be a whole new bunch of stuff that's going to kick off, right? But at least you got people around to hold everybody accountable, like I was saying before, and we can help build. But read this real quick, my bro.
Hebrews chapter 13, verse 4. Marriage is honorable in all, and the bed undefiled.
And the bed undefiled, because what happens is with that marriage now, what? You get to have sex. Your bed is undefiled. Now you're not sleeping with this one and sleeping with that one. Right? You have to deal with your wife. Your wife deals with the husband, right? And that's also in 1 Corinthians 7. We'll get into that another time. But this is what it's about. Go ahead.
But whoremongers and adulterers, God will judge.
So that's what? That's to keep the whoredom away from our people. So that what? We have this family. We have this unit. We have children. Now we're building. You have your family. I have my family. We're all keeping the laws of God, and we're building this nation together righteously. Right. So now we're keeping the commandments. We don't have to argue with each other. Right. Oh, I don't believe in God. I believe in the space demigod. Like we don't have to worry about that. Right. You know what I mean? When we say we keeping the Sabbath, everybody's keeping the Sabbath together. We keeping the same high holy days. And so the marriage is what? To build our nation and to keep us out of sin. All right. Go ahead. What you got, bro?
That's
right.
right.
Yeah, that's perfect, because that's like you said, that's what the marriage do. The marriage is the beginning of a strong nation and foundation, because why? Nobody get left behind. Everybody is on the same mind frame. Everybody is, like you said, is doing the same thing.
Correct.
The man is in the household to give instruction, not to rule as a lion, but to give instruction. The teacher of the woman. The woman is the teacher of the child. Everything is in its natural order, and like I was reading earlier in Judith, when we rolled like that, we prospered. When we stepped away from that, that's when everything failed. That's when everything went out. When the woman compassed the man, like the scripture said, that's when hatred was ensued, and everything fell apart. That's why they did it like that. Everything was strategic. They didn't emasculate us for no reason.
Right.
They didn't give the woman the power for no reason.
Right.
Because if you look at every other nation under the sun, but besides ours, they stuff is running real nice. Why? Because the man is in the forefront. Right. Only in the Black and Hispanic community is where you find the woman leading the charge.
Right. And they give the illusion they give an illusion that their women are in charge, but that's not reality, right? Meanwhile, we're running off with it, and oh yes, we're gonna be the president of the United States, and we don't need men and all of this. Like I saw something on YouTube where the woman was complaining, saying that she's a married woman, she's a single mom in a marriage. So they said, "How are you a single mom in a marriage?" She said, "Because the husband is there, but he's not nurturing the child.
What?
That's not the job of the man to nurture a child.
Right.
The man is going to teach his child, but in terms of nurturing, that's something the woman and the wife has to do. If she knew her place, right? If she knew her position, she would never say anything like that. There's no such thing as a single mom in a marriage. But now you have this type of foolishness going on where women are just saying anything because, like you said, now you have what? You have social media. Everybody needs to be a star. So now, you know what? I don't have anything to do, so I must be a single mom in a marriage. That's my new title.
I'll tell you this too. One of the things that kind of confuses our children is that someone gets upset because you don't love like I love, or you don't operate how I operate, right? If we have specific assignments and our purpose is different, and the beautiful thing about matrimony is when both of our purpose can actually combine into one under the Most High, and so we can live in purpose. That doesn't mean we're the same person doing the exact same thing.
Right.
And one of the things that I have found out in a lot of marriages is that the people who want acceptance the most usually are the least accepting. People who always want people to understand where they're coming from have comprehension issues where everybody else is coming from, right? Their feelings have always been the priority. If their emotions said something, then everyone's statement is no longer valid. And if someone is trying to add truth to the situation, they get even more upset and say, you're trying to devalue my point of view. And this is what a lot of people may not understand too. What happens in domestic violence, a lot of men don't understand that there's another man in the household called feelings.
Damn.
Cool.
Hey, hold on. That's the odd couple. That's feelings under.
Right.
Is that why I don't like feelings?
Right.
Right. No,
Another man in it.
Dude.
When we start talking about feelings, a lot of people have heard this before, and our women supposed to have. They're nurturers. They're naturally emotional. There's nothing wrong with having feelings, but when you use your feelings to remove my intent from my statement, now we're dealing with deception here. You understand what I'm saying? So when I say one thing and you respond with, "Well, I felt like you said," you're like, "Whoa." Okay, hold up.
Right.
Let's go back to my statement. Now your feelings are valid, but they're not more valid than my statement. My statement was the statement. And most arguments, and since we're talking about domestic violence, I want everybody to understand what I'm saying. Most domestic violence comes after an argument.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
And that argument stems from a lack of comprehension, not communication. People communicate all day, but the main element of communication is comprehension. A lot of people use their feelings to interpret the statement. Right. That's where domestic violence starts. Where now, if I say, "Hey, how you doing?" I feel like you're trying to do something. And now that's when the arguments start. And so now I'm trying to train a lot of men, specifically fathers, when they come into the school system, and they always, and they come in, they say, "Well, I feel like your child," and the dad loses it. And I say, hey. Just let them get it out. I understand what they just did. They interjected their feelings over your son's behavior. And he was like, "Well, that's not right." I said, "I know, but you are still charged with the regulator of emotions in the room. This ain't fair. It's manhood." And one of the things about manhood, I've never seen fairness and manhood occupy the same space. Never seen it.
Sure.
So,
Man.
Never seen it. So,
expound on that real quick.
Yes. So when we were given our assignment to have dominion, that dominion had a certain level of sovereignty in it. And anytime when you have dominion, you're going to have a large amount of responsibility. We're supposed to subdue things. We're supposed to be fruitful. We have a lot of responsibilities. And without those responsibilities, if we don't follow through, we have consequences. And our consequences are going to be very different from other people who don't have the exact same requirement and assignment. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just something when we start thinking that we can act like another person and think it's going to be the same way, we're playing a dangerous game. That's the reason why domestic violence is so confusing. If she hits me, I should be able to hit her back. That's called fairness. Right?
Yo, man.
That's called fairness.
Listen, Doc, listen.
Bro, he almost made me drool on myself, bro.
Doc, listen.
I was like, amen to that.
Right. Listen, brothers in here was like, oh,
damn.
And remember, we in this world, we so emotionally in charge. And anytime when a manhood goes into a feminine state and starts trying to argue, kind of like, oh, I'll be as God, like that competitive spirit.
Right.
Anytime when we're trying to compete with women, we're going to lose our crown immediately.
Right.
And we won't be able to see it, but spiritually we'll be able to feel it, because now all of a sudden you're in an argument and you don't even remember the topic.
Right. Because like you said, you're being manipulated with the tears and the emotion and you know how women are. The sisters are right here. You having an argument, all of a sudden they going back into 2017. Remember that time, and all of a sudden you went back there too. Now you forgot what the hell is going on.
You lost.
Yeah, now you're sleeping on the couch.
Boy, ain't no way,
And this is
boy,
what
ain't no way,
happened.
boy.
Watch this. When she changed the subject and you end up following her instead of the word of God,
right,
we're gonna lose. We're gonna get kicked out of Eden again.
Dang.
It happens every
trying
time.
to get back.
Yeah.
If we're in the argument, and not necessarily argument, if we're in the heated discussion, and you making a point, and she brings up a whole nother point, and then you leave your point to go follow her point, you got to leave Eden.
You said you got to leave Eden.
You got to leave Eden. You got to leave, because that's how we got kicked out. We followed her lead.
Right,
and
absolutely.
It's not because she's bad. The good and bad is so subjective. We can argue all day. We left our post.
No. Well, it's not even that we left our post. We didn't know where the post was. And this is what we were saying before. Right. We never learned it. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's where the men of God come in to what? To teach the youngsters, teach them, the men and the women, because you have to teach the young girls, because they have to know their position in order to what? Exactly. To respect the young man, right? You got something?
Yes.
You got to teach them how to rule their spirits. Give me Proverbs chapter 25 and verse 28.
Okay.
Proverbs 25:28.
The book of Proverbs chapter 25 and verse 28. He that hath no rule over his own spirit.
Meaning you can't control your emotions. If you can't control your emotions and rule over your own spirit, go ahead.
Is like a city that is broken down and without walls.
You like a city that don't have no security, no protection. Anybody can come in and touch you and move you in any which way. So that's why we teach our young men to rule their spirits. We teach our young women to close their mouths. Don't speak when you ain't being spoken to. And these are the things that we miss out in common life.
That's right.
Our people is out there and their spirits is being touched and pricked every which way because we don't know anything about what's going on. We think Instagram is the way. We think Facebook is the way. We think YouTube is the way, but those things ain't the way. Them things are set up and it was meant to destroy you. And once we able to see that and turn it on, then we'll be able to move forward, you know. But like I say, it always goes back to us not knowing who the hell we are. Once we get that down, then we'll be all right. Go ahead, Doc.
And if you don't know who you are, you won't know what to do. If you don't know what to do, you naturally have to procrastinate, because that's what procrastinators do. You don't
Walking in circles.
You're gonna sit there, and then what happens is, if you're a procrastinator, your purpose dies.
Yes.
And that's like, man without a purpose, man, we become violent.
Yes, you absolutely right. Give me the purpose. Give me that. Give me the purpose.
Right.
Watch this. Watch our purpose, man.
Yeah.
The scripture touches all of this, and that's how I know this thing is absolutely true, and I know it's talking about us, because everything that we describe, and we could go find it in the Bible. Read what you got.
Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 13.
Watch this.
Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter.
The conclusion of the whole matter, the purpose. Come on.
Fear God and keep his commandments.
What's our purpose?
Fear God and keep his commandments.
Why? Because it protects you from the evil that's in this world. Hold that. Go to Proverbs chapter 30 and verse 5. If you fear God and keep his commandments, it's by default protects you from single parent households. It protects you from STDs. It protects you just read the scripture.
Proverbs chapter 30, verse 5.
Go ahead.
Every word of God is pure.
Every word of God is pure. Why? Because when you keep the marriage law, you keep hookers away. You keep them away. When you keep the marriage law, you keep STDs away.
Right.
When you keep the law of loving your neighbor as you love yourself, it protects you from black on black violence.
That's
Read.
He is a shield.
He is a shield, meaning his word is a shield. A shield is made for protection. Come on.
Unto them that put their trust in him.
To everybody that put their trust in him, meaning doing your purpose, fearing God and keeping his commandments. That's where the protection come in at.
It is.
Go ahead. Go back and read it.
All praise.
Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 13.
Go ahead.
Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter.
Come on.
Fear God and keep his commandments.
Read.
For this is the whole duty of man.
But this is the whole duty of man. This is what we was here for. He created the earth for us to rule it under his commandments. That's it. And when we stepped away from it, that's when everything went south.
Yep.
Cap?
Yep.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask y'all a question.
Sure.
Please.
For clarity. And I hear this a lot, and I do give therapy as well. I'm in the process of getting my therapist license, and I have a client that was struggling. He's knee deep in the Bible. He reads it a lot, and he got in trouble for chastising his children. Basically, he beat them up too much, right? And he used the verse, "Spare the rod, spoil the child." Mm-hmm. Okay. For your audience and anybody else who may be looking at this video, do you mind educating me and everyone else the context behind spare the rod? Because we start talking about domestic violence, right?
Right.
And one of the things that a lot of people I've seen use, either whether it's in context or out of context, that's why I'm gonna yield to y'all to kind of guide me through this. And for anybody that's listening, they will use that to justify what they're about to do to children and anyone else. Do y'all mind shedding some light on that for me?
Yeah, absolutely. Give me Sirach chapter 30, right? Because what happens there, right? When you read in Proverbs, where does it say, before Sirach 30, give me Proverbs. No, not train up a child. I want foolishness is bound in child. Mm-hmm. Where's that? Proverbs? Is that 11 or something like that? Let me get that first. Yeah, because we're going to add context to it, right? When it says spare the rod and hate the child, right? When the Lord talks about hate, right? Because there you go. Thank you. Right? We're going to hit this first and we'll explain as we go along, Doc.
Thank you.
Proverbs chapter 22, verse 15. Foolishness is bound in the heart of a child.
Right. Foolishness is bound in the heart of a child, right? Because even as little kids, they always doing something bad. They always getting into something, right? Go ahead.
But the rod of correction.
The rod of what? Correction. He got to be corrected, right? Correct. So sometimes you could just yell at your child, right? Mm-hmm. Like we were just discussing it the other day. Like when my son was a kid, we would practice boxing. So when I spanked him, he didn't understand that, right? Because our physicality was like as a game. So now when I went to spank him, he didn't understand it. So I just would scream at him. He was good with that. But some of the other kids, you can't spare the rod. You got to correct them with that belt, with the Hot Wheels track, with the electric, with the extension cord. Doc, you know I'm joking, right? You ain't gonna go too crazy, but you gotta lay hands on them. You can't play with them sometimes, right? Go ahead, bro.
But the rod of correction shall drive it far from him.
Drive what far from him? The foolishness that was bound in him, right? Because now he ain't doing it no more. Hey, take that damn thing out of the outlet, and he's like. Right. Put an electrical outlet, slap to the head. Oh, he ain't doing it no more, right? So check this out. Go to Sirach 30. We got some more on that. The Lord like talking about little kids getting their behind whipped.
Sirach chapter 30 and verse 7.
Go ahead.
He that maketh too much of his
No.
son.
I want verse 1.
Verse 1. He that loveth his son causeth him oft to feel the rod.
You heard that? He that loves his son causes him often to feel the rod. Right? Go ahead.
That he may have joy of him in the end.
Right, that he may have joy of him in the end. So now it's going to expound on the rod. Read on verse 2.
He that chastiseth his son shall have joy in him.
Now it's talking about chastisement, right? Because sometimes it might not be the physical spanking. It might just be you have to get on him, right? Go ahead.
Right.
And shall rejoice of him among his acquaintance.
Okay, hold on. I want to jump down. Stay right there. Verse 8.
Verse 8. And horse not broken becometh headstrong, and a child left to himself will be willful.
You see that? So that's what it's telling you. When a child is left to himself, he's going to become willful. So you have to break all that foolishness out of him. Where's the one that talks about hitting him on the sides? That's Proverbs
23 and 13.
Okay. Get that, but keep reading down for a second.
Okay.
Give me verse 13.
Sirach chapter 30, verse 13.
Oh, no. Here we go right here. Verse 12. That's what I want. That's what I want right
Verse
there.
12.
Yep.
Bow down his neck while he is young,
Mm-hmm.
and beat him on the sides while he is a child.
You see that? Bow down his neck while he is young. Meaning what? You're going to put him to labor. You're going to make him do chores. You're going to teach him respect and beat him on his sides. So the Lord is even instructing you on how to beat the child. Not punch him in his face.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Not giving him the uppercut in the damn DDT. Right? You just grab him and do it like back in the day. That's what my mother used to do. And I told you, don't you ever. And
You start hollering.
right. Yeah, exactly. You getting it all on your sides. Right?
Right.
Go ahead. Finish that up, bro.
Bow down his neck while he is young, and beat him on the sides while he is a child, lest he wax stubborn
Lest he becomes stubborn and not listening to you no more. Go ahead.
and be disobedient unto thee,
Uh-huh.
and so bring sorrow to thine heart.
Now he getting locked up. Right? Because he ain't listening to the parents. So guess what? He going to have to listen to the cops. Right? He ain't listening to school. He ain't listening to his parents. He going to listen to the police when they put his ass in the jail. Right? So this is what it means in regards to if you spare the rod, you hate your child. Because if you're not correcting your child is going to what? Bring grief to you and wind up in the prison system.
Right.
May I add something that may complement what you all have just taught all of us, right?
Please.
One of the things that I found out specifically in violence, but specifically domestic violence, is when people refuse to teach.
Right.
And so even if we're the spare the rod, spoil the child, even when we're supposed to use that rod, what I'm finding out is that a lot of parents who don't want to be parents, or a lot of parents who don't know how to teach verbally,
Right.
resort to the violence at the very beginning.
Right.
And that's what's making our children go to the streets first, because they equate love with violence. And that's the reason why a lot of our young men are procreating with violent women.
Dang.
Women are procreating with violent men, and that domestic violence is spiraling out of control. I am not one of those people that think correction is not the key for children. I'm not one of those type of people.
Okay.
One of the things I'm finding out is a lot of people who don't understand the context of the Bible in its full context, where the teaching must be the prerequisite first. What they have done is, out of frustration for the lack of words and definitions, they start beating up children out of frustration.
Right.
And right now, I'm seeing a lot of parents, and I'm saying, okay, before you start beating them up, cussing them out, what do?
Right.
Well, I just told him to clean up his room. I said, okay, did you teach him how to clean up his room? Are you just telling a 3-year-old to do what you painted in your brain?
Right. Right.
And I asked the little kid, I said, has anybody taught you how to clean up your room? No, sir.
Right.
And I'm sitting up here like, okay, ma'am, do you even know how to teach him to clean up his room? Because remember, just because a lot of people know how to do something does not mean they know how to teach it.
That's right.
And I'm finding a lot of our people are resorting to violence because a lot of people find violence easier than communication.
No, that's right.
And
that's true.
I'm not one of those people that think children shouldn't be corrected, because honestly, that's the reason why we're in such a dire straits right now, because a lot of our children have no level of consistent discipline.
That's right.
And when I say consistent discipline, is when somebody said that's wrong and they're going to say it's wrong again tomorrow.
Right.
What I'm seeing a lot of parents do now is saying that's wrong today, but tomorrow you can do it. And then if you feel like it, well, since you got money now, you can do it. I'm like, the child is going to be
Right,
confused. And
right.
anytime when there's a confused child, they're going to lash out. Because I said, even when you read the verse and it said foolishness is within the child, right? And I look at it in a different way. And the reason why that stuck out to me was every child that I encountered, they're going to search for boundaries.
Yeah.
Every child does that. They're going to find out if water's wet and fire's hot. That's what they came here saying.
Absolutely.
Hey, I don't know nothing. Let me try all of y'all. You the teacher, let's see if you can teach.
Right.
You the disciplinarian, let me see if you can be, if you can be disciplined too. What these children are encountering is inconsistent adults. And I've been a part of it now because I have said one thing and done another.
Right.
And I've confused children in my family. I've confused children in my classroom by saying one thing and doing the next. And then when they act out because of the lack of consistency, now all of a sudden I'm yelling and now I'm threatening. And I was even like that a long time. That's the reason why I said, let me get clarity. Right. Because sometimes when we jump the gun because we don't have a skill set, that's when domestic violence spikes.
Right.
Because a lot of people just don't even have the skill set to teach. That's the reason why I'm very grateful that y'all took time to give several verses that kind of complement each other so everybody can get a holistic picture of it. Because I see a lot of people who abuse their child use one verse.
Right.
They use one.
Right.
Yeah. And they use it to justify, not being able to teach them and having the skill set. But thank you. I yield to you. Go ahead.
Yeah. The scripture don't compliment child abuse,
At all.
It tell you to discipline them for a reason. Give me Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 7 or 7. Yeah, 6 and 7. Oh, okay. Damn. You know what I want?
Deuteronomy chapter 6 and verse 7.
Just get straight to the point because we ain't got that much time left.
Yeah.
Let me see. Is that the point?
Yeah, verse
Yeah,
7.
that's it. Verse 7.
And thou shalt teach them diligently unto
Uh-huh.
thy children.
Come on.
And thou shalt talk of them when thou sittest in thine house.
Okay, so reproof also in correction comes from teaching them diligently. When you see them doing stuff around the house, you take them and sit down and talk with them. It get physical after the second or third admonishment. I'm gonna just be honest.
Yep.
Go ahead.
And when thou walkest by the way, and when thou liest down, and when thou risest up.
Oh, yeah, that's the end of the verse.
Yeah.
So yeah, we teaching our children all day, every day, and that's where it comes from. You got to teach them and show them these things in real time in order for them to get the proper understanding of what's going on. Right. So we do beat ass though, but
Gotcha. Now
we teach.
This is something I want to compliment what you were saying. Remember, I ain't against something that work. It's just when some of us are jumping the gun and don't have we don't know how to measure our actual, I would say, intensity with it, right? So let me ask this for everybody on the panel. Do you have ultimate respect? And this is not challenging what you're saying. This is for the audience to add context, right? Because I'm going to add this too. Do you have ultimate respect for somebody and reference for somebody in your life who have never laid a hand on you?
I think in regards to authoritative figures, I mean, the only people put hands on me, basically family members, my mother, father,
right.
Maybe a couple of other family members,
right.
yeah.
So like coaches or something like that, or somebody else in the ministry.
Yeah, you got respect for them.
You got ultimate total respect for them, and I do too. And that's the reason why, sometimes I look at certain things in my life, and there's some people I would never, I would probably do some. I would go through great lengths before I disrespect that person, and that person has never even yelled at me before. Does that make sense?
Right. It
was because that person, and I'm not sparing the rod. What I'm saying is I'm trying to give the audience a whole different aspect of what they can do way before it gets physical.
Well,
because most of us.
Well, let me say something real quick, Doc, because I know what you're getting at. Because you don't want a parent to lose their temper and somehow hurt the child or whatever, right? So that's why the scripture goes into the chastisement, right? Because every child is different. And that's why I made the correlation with my own son, right? Because some kids you might not have to put hands on them, but then again, sometimes you do.
Yeah, there's some of them that's been asking for it.
Yeah. It is what it is.
I've seen that before. I've seen it. They want to test boundaries, and honestly, that's the reason why I want to give clarity to you, because some children have been exposed to so much that they're going to come home and test boundaries in a physical manner. And I've seen some fathers have to get to a certain point.
Yeah, I got that.
Yeah, because you like, hold on, you've been to somebody else's house and you bringing this stuff in my house. Now you finna see who your father really is.
Oh yeah, that's 100%.
That's called nipping it in the bud.
No, yeah, for real.
Yeah,
Put that
for real.
quick.
You what? All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, 100%.
Yeah, I got you.
Especially when and I'm saying this in regards to the boys, when they start to become older and they make a little mistake, they got to get the 10 Commandments. They got to get.
I turn it into the 20 Commandments.
I don't know if you know this.
They gotta get the 10 Commandments.
These 2 commandments before you're gonna start a new trend.
Yeah.
Hey, I think you need to put that on a shirt.
Yeah.
Oh
man.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Bestseller.
Right, man.
Oh man.
Oh man. That was
yeah.
good.
Well, you know what, Doc? Hey, listen, we ran out of time. I think we could be here with you like for the rest of the week, just talking.
Yeah,
For
you
sure.
know what I mean?
For sure.
Praises. Hey, right. Hey, Doc, do you have any social media you want to put out there?
Yes.
Go ahead, please.
Yes, definitely. First, just thank you for the invitation. You and your entire team, your staff, your organization, institution, everybody who took time to listen to me tonight, I really appreciate it. No one has to listen to you or take me seriously, so I don't take it lightly. My name is Dr. Marion Christopher Pugh. I highly suggest people to go on Google and Google Manhood Mindset and just type in my last name, P-U-G-H. You'll see all of my information. One of the biggest things I want people to do is look at the reviews, because you'll start seeing the type of work I'm doing. I can tell you all my accolades, which really doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is the service, not the decoration, right? So I want people to go to my Google account, my Google profile, and look at all of the reviews and look at them with suspicion. I want you to look and comb through them to see if it's consistent. If it's consistent or not, that is my resume. On social media, I'm under Manhood Mindset on Twitter, on Instagram and TikTok. And on Facebook is my first and last, my middle name and my last name, Christopher Pugh. You can look that up. And I have a business page, Manhood Mindset. I'm also on LinkedIn, Dr. Marion Christopher Pugh of Manhood Mindset. So I'm also an author. I want everybody to understand this part. I just wrote, well, not just wrote, but I wrote my book last year around this time. I released it on my birthday last year. It's called Thrival Kit. The best teacher is always the best student. And it's basically helping people go to thrival mode and not just be in survival mode. It is a proactive outlook on life to take your purpose back and hopefully eliminate procrastination through idol worship. And honestly, when I wrote that book, it was me conquering a moment of idol worship in my life. It took me a long time to publish that book. It didn't take me a long time to write it, but it took me a long time to stop writing it. If that makes any sense. Right. So it's a lot of people out there who's been doing things their whole life, that constantly been working on it for years. It's not what you started, it's what you have to stop in order to open the doors that God got for you, man. So I also have, I want people to go to my my shop. It's myshopify.manhoodmindset.com. All right. Oh, no, I'm sorry. It's manhoodmindset.myshopify.com. And I have a lot of different clothing items that hopefully will spark the love to rebuild our functional families, right? My logo behind me, you'll see a lot of the t-shirts with that. I have a lot of young men wearing those shirts, and I have a lot of young ladies have the apparel that says, protect her, respect him. So that's literally where we're going to have to go in order for us to get some of our family structure back. And it just takes a little bit at a time. This world is not going to take a break, and we shouldn't either. So my name is Dr. Marion Christopher Pugh. Under Manhood Mindset. Please reach out. I would love to work with you. If you have a school system that could use my services, if you have or either religious institutions, colleges, university, and families, I'm helping families restructure their constitutions as well. So I appreciate the time, Captain. I really do.
All right.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Doc. Appreciate you. All
Yes,
right.
sir.
And hey, and listen, man, when you get some time, man, watch a couple of our classes, man. You know what I'm
I
saying?
will.
Catch
I saw
up
a
with
couple
us,
of
man.
them. Saw a couple of them. Yes, already. Yeah.
All right. So check us out, man. You know, you got our number and everything, and let's stay in touch. We might have to have you back on, you know?
Oh, trust me, I will be honored, man. And I got
All right.
several topics. I got several topics, not just in manhood, but just in life in general, man. I study race. I want people to look up my dissertation. They're called Humanity in the Black, counter racist logic through comedy and hip hop. I talk about Richard Pryor. I talk about a lot of different things, about how race actually started in the United States in the early 1600s. It is an eye opener. So I have several topics we can definitely talk about.
Okay. All right. So we may have to have you back because that's one thing we do talk about here is race.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We got
all right.
it. We got
so with that, all right. So Doc, appreciate you. All right. Enjoy the rest
Much
of your
respect.
week. Shalom. Most High Christ bless you, bro. For real. So yeah, that was an excellent thing right
That
there.
was
That was very good.
Oh yeah.
Doctor was on point, man. He was saying a lot of biblical stuff, man.
Oh yeah, definitely. I believe that he knows someone. He knows one of the brothers in Detroit. Is what I don't know exactly who it is, but he knew somebody in Detroit. So I don't think he knew we were Israel United. He just happened to have a conversation. I asked him. He said, "Y'all Israelites?" I said, "Yeah." He told me about his friend, and I said, "So who's what organization is he with?" And he said, "Israel United in Christ." So I was like, "Oh, that's us," you know.
Okay.
But so all praise to the Lord. You know, Lord's
All
will.
praise.
He watches and repents, man, and come on in.
Yeah,
it's
right,
good to have
man.
good brothers like that with us, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, bro, what you got, man?
You know what I got, man. What the hell? Go to it.
Come on, man.
Go to it, man.
I already knew.
Let's close this out, man.
You know what I'm saying?
You can't close
The
this
officer's
out.
over there acting like he don't know what scripture he got to pull.
Bruh. Do it for real?
He wants you to speak to him. Talk to me. Tell me.
Bruh. You don't know?
No, I got it.
Oh, I was about to say, bro. Go ahead.
Nehemiah chapter 13, verse 21. Then I testified against them and said unto them, why lodge ye about the wall? If ye do so again, I will lay hands on you.
What I'm going to do?
I will lay hands on you.
If you come on this show with that foolishness, we going to do what?
I will lay hands on you.
You're now tuned in to the Nehemiah Squad radio show.
Let's go.
Get out of here, man.
All praises. Hey, next week is New Moon, so I don't think we're going to be on. New Moon is the 21st to the 22nd, so I think we're going to be off that day. But the following week, right? But the following week, we're going to be doing something on, what is it again?
What is it?
I don't know. They don't know.
Oh, ain't none of the guys.
No. But
none of the
it's
guys are here.
Yeah. None of the team is here, but it's going to be on nutrition. But it's going to be deep though. It's going to talk about the food deserts that we have in our communities and the lack of good nutrition. It's going to be heavy. It's not going to be. Don't think you just hearing that and like we're going to be talking about apples and oranges. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, we're going to have a sister up here. She's excellent. She's a professional in the industry. And I think y'all really going to like it. So that's going to be in 2 weeks on the 29th. So Lord's will, life, God spare our lives. We're going to be here knocking it out. All right?
Yes, sir. Y'all
so Most High
tuned in.
Christ bless y'all. Shalom.
Shalom.
Christ
Shalom.
Oh, we gotta shout out the page.
Oh, we got to shout. Shout the pages out, man. Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah, boy.
All right. The Nehemiah Squad and family. Listen, we're going to be broadcasting from IUIC Sacramento page.
Right.
All right. We had it wrong before. Now we're going to be broadcasting from the IUIC Sacramento page only. All right. Only. All right. So Lord willing, all of y'all just keep following us, subscribe to the page, and let's do this. You know what I'm saying? Get on there, comment, share. Let's make it happen.
Make sure y'all follow all of the sites. Y'all see that? Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, X. Follow us and subscribe. Share. Don't be stingy with this.
Right.
Share it.
Right. All right.
And that's it.
All right.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Nehemiah Squad, let's go.
Even the evil, spend holy days away from the heathen. I need a break. I don't need a reason. I need a script. leave it on the shelf. And he ain't nothing else. Tonight and tonight, knowing the price. Pay it off with my life till it's out with your lights. Do it all for the Christ, and he ain't playing nice. Knew the end from the start. Fix your face like it's art. The sons of a simp, call him Bart. Yeah, you did your best, played your part. But now it's time to cut you to the heart. Flex on the case. It's the strangest of the salvation. You see it, believe it, amazing. Them chariots coming invasion since the creation. War, mine, Lord, bless the general. Greatest nation, eat them unequivocal. Bombs dropping, buddy, cause it's biblical. Start shit, now it's time to finish. Whoa. Say you won't vote. You look at the